Okay. We're going.
Oh, we're live.
Here we go. Yep.
So
Good observation there, Scotty.
At his ripe old age, he'll surprise you.
Sometimes. Not all the time, but
I
sometimes.
clicked the link.
I clicked the link. Dude,
What?
I just got a notification. We're live.
Oh,
good.
no shit.
Well, it says
good.
Zeeverfett
At least we
is
got
live.
you watching us.
Go on.
Zeeverfett's live. I wonder what he's talking about.
Oh yeah. Let's go tune in.
Right?
I
What
would
are these-
tune in. But to be honest, this is what I think about Ryan's
Oh
channel.
my God, I don't care. I do not. I don't care.
Wow.
I want him to whip it out. Oh no! It's still there. Oh look!
This guy is falling.
What's up, guys?
What's
Howdy.
going on?
Welcome to the 4Nerds episode 169. As you all
This
know,
is the best one.
are you sure about that?
I feel pretty confident.
Okay, that's fair, I suppose.
We appreciate everyone showing up, and thank you for joining us on another 4Nerd discussion.
Don't mind him, he's losing his voice. Or rather, he's getting
He
it
just
back.
got it back. He lost
No,
it.
I'm
Now he just got it
slowly
back.
getting it back. It's not fully back yet. But yeah,
Not yet.
Not yet. Not yet.
Soon.
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 It will be back.
Soon.
So as you can tell, Dawson will not be with us today. He's on assignment, but we are talking about one of the best shows out there right now. Not those two guys, but we're talking about X-Men
Oh,
97.
look at this guy. He had it all set
X-Men
up.
97.
Yes,
There
set
it
up.
is, baby.
Wow.
I haven't seen the third episode. Have you guys seen the third episode?
They watched
Oh
it
my
last night on Andre's live stream.
Okay,
Watch
okay.
party.
I've only seen two.
You haven't seen the third one?
I just
That
got
was the
home.
whole. You know, I remember the days when Ryan used to get up early before he had to go to work to watch an episode of a show.
Now I get up and draw my comic, so I shifted.
Phil,
My
did you watch the
priorities.
entire episode? Yeah, you did.
I
You were
did.
commenting
Yeah,
afterwards.
I was. Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't chime in. Like I was telling Sean, I can do commentaries, but I can't really do like watch parties because I have a hard time like trying to pay attention to the conversation and then watch the thing at the same time. So, as soon as the episode started at midnight, I watched it and then I came back to your channel to see what you guys had to say about it. But
usually when I do a watch party, like after it's over, then like the next day I'll watch it
Everybody
again.
leaves.
I'll watch it again because I'm like, because you know you're always looking out for stuff like I'm looking for the chat, I'm looking at what's going on over here. But the episode itself was really good. I really enjoyed
it
it.
was solid.
I don't know if I want to spoil it for Ryan or
Yeah,
I don't
don't
know.
spoil it.
I
Don't be
don't
a
know if he
douche.
cares.
Then get the fuck out. You're not here for the conversation.
Nope, not here.
Get
oh,
the
look,
fuck out.
But I am here for this.
Get the fuck
Well,
out.
thank you, Jason McKenzie, for showing up.
Thank you, Jason.
Yes, we are doing well, and I know that Andre has something queued up for you.
I thought you were doing that, so here we
I'll
go.
do it. I'll
This
do it.
one's for you, Jason McKenzie. Oh wait, that's the Dawson.
That's
one.
not it.
I
want it.
so
Wow.
violent. God.
Okay. All right.
I want it.
But thank you for the $40 in the New Zealand currency.
Woohoo!
Um,
That's what I'm talking about.
yeah, that's what's up. Thank you so much, sir. Appreciate it.
That's
as
why Jason's
always.
a badass.
And I hope you're having a good night as well.
Although I
yeah,
think for him,
slow down.
it's
It's early
almost
morning.
yeah, it's like early morning. I think yeah.
It's early morning.
Andre loves Morbius. Thank you, Jack Pierre.
No,
And-
that's not. I don't think he's an Aussie.
Actually,
He's-
Sam,
he's
it's
on a-
1 p.m. actually in New Zealand. Right
oh,
now.
so he's
Oh, okay.
driving right now. He's like, let's
Yeah.
go.
Hey,
And Jack Pierre, I was really worried about Jack because I mean, as some of you guys saw, there was that huge accident that happened in Baltimore. Sorry, I had to out you, Jack, but Jack lives in the Baltimore area, and that bridge, the Key Bridge, got taken down by that freighter ship. I was like, holy crap! So my mind's thinking like, watch, how much you want to bet? Freaking Jackson be on that bridge going to work or something like. It's terrible. I mean, that was a huge tragedy. But he's okay though. He's okay.
Yeah. They had what, like a search and rescue for like 10 to 15 or 10 to 20 people.
Yeah, especially those. There was a construction
like 40
crew
degree
working on
water.
the bridge too. And
Are you serious?
yeah, there were 6 of them. They've only last I read a few hours ago. They only found 2 of them. And I think they unfortunately just found their bodies. They didn't survive, and the other 4 they haven't found yet.
That is truly tragic. That is unfortunate.
I think it's even crazier is that how much of the incident was caught on film.
That is crazy. That they were like, look,
that you
what's
don't
going
get,
on.
Yeah, usually something like that they don't catch, but of the various cameras on whether it was buildings or traffic cams actually caught it pretty well.
I think
actually.
they even caught the guy responsible.
Look at me, sure. Look at me, sure. I'm the captain now.
I don't want to joke too much about
It's
that.
not. We had a clip. We had a clip
that
of
was
the captain.
poor taste.
So.
Very poor taste.
Too soon. Too soon.
Too soon. Okay, too soon.
I don't know if there's ever going to be a good time for that, but
I don't think
right
there'll
now,
ever be a good time. Let's
right
make a
now it's too
9/11
soon.
joke.
No.
Whoa.
But
Don't
similar
you
to what
dare.
Sean was
It's
saying,
never
though,
gonna be
it was
soon.
fascinating that there was so much video footage of the event. I was like, my God. And what's funny is that the first time I saw
did we
it,
get from X-Men to this?
I don't know.
Yeah,
But-
I know, right?
Well, no, what was crazy was the
Oh,
first time I
Andre.
saw it was a video posted on Twitter, and it had some kids talking over it. And they were like, oh my God, look at that, dude, oh my God. And I was like, wait, where is this coming from? Like, where did this get recorded from? Because it had kids commentating over it. And they're like, everyone on that bridge just died, dude. And that's when I was like, this has got to be fake, right?
Well,
And
I think we
then-
shifted here because of Jack.
Jack
Oh,
Pierre.
there we go.
We just
Yeah,
let
Jack
them on
Pierre.
there.
And
last
Andre
thing
had
I'll
to
mention
dox
on
him,
it.
so yeah.
And Jack
Last thing I'll
saying, yeah,
mention on it
there's...
is they were actually the police were trying to rush to the scene because cars were still going up on parts of the bridge that hadn't collapsed. So they were trying to get there before those cars actually drove off
Yeah.
the
That's
edge,
rough. That's
unfortunately.
Yeah, because I mean, when you're driving, a lot of the time you're just like, just sort of in autopilot,
Yeah.
and I mean, just like runners or whatever, they'll run the wrong direction and shit, even though there's signs and whatever. So, yeah, I mean, you want to get that shit locked down.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously, our hearts and prayers go out to the families and everyone who suffered losses on that accident. However, man, I tell you what, if I was driving to work and that happened, holy shit, that would be terrifying.
Yeah.
Absolutely terrifying. But to switch gears, let's talk about X-Men 97. Now, we haven't had a real chance to talk about the entire series in general, so why don't we do that now before we get to episode 3? So far, I've absolutely loved this show. I think it's great. I think it's honed in on the X-Men, and it really feels like for the first time in a long time, I'm seeing like real X-Men, and I love it. I love that they redid the intro, but they kept it the same. They just reanimated it. I thought that was really cool. The animation in general looks a lot better, better than What If, and better than anything else they've done. And I would argue that this show is actually one of the better shows that Disney Plus has even put out, aside from obviously Loki and maybe Moon Knight. I mean, there's been some good ones, but this is right up there with the best ones.
I think from an animated perspective, it's hands down, without question, probably the best thing on Disney Plus. Just purely
Absolutely.
animation.
Yeah, absolutely.
definitely.
I agree. Yeah.
Because it's kind of like an apples to pears thing if you're going to compare it to the likes of Loki, Moon Knight, Miss Marvel. What If would be a more fair comparison, but again, they go with some really kind of goofy looking CGI 3D modeling there, whereas with this it's just straight up animation that is a little bit more polished and pretty and pristine.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to the original 90s TV show, which was hand-drawn animation. Because it's clear it looks like it's kind of a mix between drawn on a computer and maybe some hand-drawn stuff. Best thing since The Dark Knight. Yeah.
There we
Okay.
go. There we
Thanks,
go.
David. Thanks, James. We appreciate it. Anyway, yeah, dude. The first 2 episodes of this show, honestly, for me, I loved episode 3, but I still think episode 2 is the best one so far, because that speech Magneto gives at the fucking court hearing. Oh my
so
god,
good.
that
So
was
good.
fucking phenomenal. Leaps and bounds, some of the best shit I've seen in any X-Men anything ever. Magneto fucking owned that trial, and it was fabulous in every sense of the word. Oh my god, just an absolutely spectacular episode.
His dialogue that he gave when they were hovering almost
Above
in
the
orbit.
earth?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
That was so good. I was like, yeah.
And he's,
And
he's basically just like telling them, you know, I am trying to change for the sake of my late friend. Hold me to it, and I will hold you to it as well. Like, I'm paraphrasing here, but he's basically telling them, like, I want you to hold me to it, or something to that effect. He's basically holding them as if they're in the palm of his hand, like, don't make me fucking regret this, because I will drop you. If I have nothing to lose anymore, your asses will get dropped. Do not make me regret my decisions in any of this so far. Like, he totally owned up to everything that he'd done, but at the same time, he made a case for the fact that his people, not only as a Holocaust survivor, but also as a mutant, have been hunted while all they're trying to do is just live amongst fucking humanity. It is without question some of the most best writing I've seen in anything Marvel in like the last 5 years. Straight up.
Sure.
His character owned the last 10 to 15 minutes
Fuck
of
yeah, he
episode
did.
2.
Yeah.
I mean, from the
absolutely.
trial to Above the Earth, then to the talkover, when we see Storm leaves, we see
Cortez,
you know,
do not make me let you down. That is
Yes.
fucking top tier.
Yes.
Beautiful.
then we see
It
that
was
little
beautiful
bit
the way
with him
he
and
said
Rogue.
it too. I was like,
So
Oh, God.
and then that's what Andre.
Yeah,
talked about
I get
last
that that's
night.
sort of a thing, like Rogue and Magneto, but I was like, isn't he like fucking old as shit? You know, and she's like in her
I think
mid-20s.
when you compare him to like Ian McClellan, I think you would say, "Whoa, that's a senior."
If you're looking at like Anna Paquin and Ian McKellen, then yeah, sure, it's
that'd be like
kind of
woo.
strange. But this is like, you know,
Like Hugh Hefner.
We have a Hefner situation here.
Yeah.
this is a man pushing 55 and a woman probably pushing 30. It's not completely strange or out of the ordinary.
And to be honest, I mean, Magneto was pretty shredded.
Yeah. Daddy's got some fucking guns under those
I would
arms,
say
bro.
this is more like, seeing, I don't know, Anna Paquin and the main villain from Avatar. You know what I mean? Where he's just like a ripped
God.
dude. You know what I mean? Someone who's in
Lang.
like great shape. Yes. And you're just like,
Still,
okay, well, I
I
get it.
don't know, man.
But they have
Like
a
10
history
years,
too, though.
sure. Gap, 20 years gap. That's kind of
Yeah, but they have a history, and they allude to that as well. He's
Yeah.
like, "Are you ever going to tell them about us?" She was like, we don't talk about that.
Well, at one point, Rogue
We don't
was,
talk
in
about
fact,
Bruno.
Like at one point, Rogue was in fact like on Magneto's side, like she was part of the Brotherhood.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's she got the abilities from Miss Marvel was when she was part of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants with her adoptive mother, which was
I just
Mystique.
watched that episode like 3 weeks ago. It's still awesome. It's like beautiful episode.
And we got the little snippet of Gambit kind of witnessing this.
Yeah, and he
When
drops
he drops his card.
the Queen
So
of
it's gonna
Hearts. Yeah.
So it's gonna be interesting
Yeah.
to see how that plays out, and whether it's the next episode or maybe the one after, where what rift does this now cause with him in the group, and then with Rogue in the group, if she starts to get back into that relationship that they had previously.
Yeah.
What I liked the most about the ending of the second episode was that, they knew that going into this, that episode 1, episode 2 were likely going to premiere back to back. I think they knew that ahead of time. So at the end of episode 2, the way that they did it, it reminded me a lot of the endings of like the Christopher Nolan, Batman trilogy, where, where you have this dialogue, over all these different scenes, and you have this, intense kind of pacing music, and it was just really cool to see them do that, and then end with him opening the door, and you see Jean Grey. Oh, I need the X-Men.
I wouldn't even call it like the trilogy. I would just say they keep kind of ending it in a similar fashion to like Batman Begins, where it's like, you show off the Joker card. It's doing an essence of that every time so far. Like the first episode ends with Magneto presenting the last will and testament of Charles Xavier and saying, to me, my X-Men, like, and he's taking hold of them. Episode 2 ends with fucking Jean Grey coming to the X-Mansion being like, I need the X-Men, and then there's other Jean Grey holding baby Nathan Summers next to Cyclops, and everyone's just like, what the fuck is happening? And then I won't say what happens at the end of episode 3, but episode 3 absolutely sets up another story that they're pulling from the comics Life Death. If anyone's familiar with that, it is very Storm-centric.
Well, so the only thing I didn't really resonate with me was just the whole last will and testament of Professor X saying this is my X-Men or whatever. Like, bitch, you don't know me. Like, I quit. And like all of them should have just fuck you, I quit. Like, I'm sorry, but it's like, now you're my X-Men. You work for me now. Like that's not how it fucking works. It's not like, wait a minute. We swore an oath to him, not to you. Oh, we're trapped.
It's a like, thing that they're kind of alluding to that almost happened in Marvel Comics proper, where Chris Claremont by the end of Uncanny X-Men 300 wanted Magneto to be the new head of the X-Men. He was going to have him do a full heel turn, become a hero, and have him lead the X-Men and permanently kill off Charles Xavier. It was kind of it's kind of a nod to that in a certain respect.
Sure.
Because the end of the series, that the original series, they say that Charles dies, but he's really off with the Shi'ar Empire, getting healed by them. So they effectively have to treat him like he's dead. And I'm pretty sure the rest of the X-Men kind of understand this, but they're still even having to adjust to the idea of oh fuck, he left all of us to Magneto. At some point, I see your point. No, they should just quit. But at the same time, it's would Professor X want them to do that? I don't think so.
It's what they want to do.
No,
because it's
nope.
It's bigger than just oh well, I guess you're the new team lead. I guess we'll just follow you.
No,
and the leader had issues with you in the past, and all kinds of animosity and just an engagement and stuff like that. For them to just say, okay, well, I guess we'll just accept you as our new leader.
But that's just it. They don't outright accept him as the new leader. The whole second episode is
was
proof of that concept.
That's it. That's all they were. They were skeptical, and Summers was the only one that was more vocal than anybody else. Because
I think there might just be a
reason why he was more vocal was because
responsibility.
Because he had the responsibility of the team, and then that responsibility was being taken from him due to to a last will and testimony. So he's like, "Fuck."
They're honoring the decision that Charles Xavier made. Right. That's what they're doing.
Oh, and I get that.
They don't agree with it. They're like, well, this was a decision he made. He must have done it for the right reasons. And so, obviously, it turned one of their greatest villains into their.
Well, are we also just going to forget the entire arc where Magneto and Professor X are literally running through Savage Land together? Because that totally fucking happened in the original series too. And they are friends for a reason. And I don't put it past Charles Xavier to do something like that without nothing short of the best intentions for the X-Men. And honestly, even having Magneto, again, giving that awesome speech at the end of episode 2, being like, don't make me let you down. Straight up, he's trying to change. And that is character development 101. It's fucking magnificent is what it is. And I
would have had it go prove yourself and then come back. Oh my God.
Let me see your resume, sir.
Yeah, exactly. It's just being dubbed the leader doesn't hey, let me be a good person now and wear a new costume.
I mean, you could pull apart all of the reasons why this is not realistic, but I mean, at the end of the day,
it's a comic book film. I get it.
Yeah, I mean,
so I mean, I understand that. I'm just asking questions, and fucking sue me for asking a question or
not at all.
Presenting an alternative way of looking at something. But yeah, I mean,
they could have told him go fuck yourself, and then just not even listen to him. Like, what?
Well, I think that was.
Leader.
I think that's
fuck
where.
They could. That would have been okay, I get it.
Well, if we look at Scott and Jean, that was their initial reaction. That's what they want to do. Magneto's here. We're peacing out. I'm not staying for this. So,
but
I think they were gonna. I think they were gonna do that before Magneto made that decision.
The plan
they're like,
that was the original plan. But when he showed up, it was like this was. Oh yeah, this is it.
And the only reason, and I think that's the reason why he stayed was because he's like, no, fuck that. I can't do that now because
that's why Scott stayed. Yes, but Jean still wanted to go.
Yeah,
she still wanted to leave. I think the others may have just not had the gumption, so to speak, to if this is what Xavier
I think Logan would, if any of them, Logan would have been like,
I would think Logan would have been the first one to be like, I'm done.
Yeah,
Logan didn't even really dig the idea of Cyclops being team leader. He was like, I'm only adhering to you purely because of Charles. Other than that, I'm still gonna clown you every now and again.
Well, at the same time though, he he changed up his whole look. He didn't wear the helmet anymore because he says, I always felt that Charles was in my mind, and now that he's not here, I don't need to wear that. And again, that's making himself vulnerable to even Jean Grey. Jean Grey could have completely fucked with his mind, but she didn't, because he's letting himself be open and vulnerable to the team. So again, it kind of shows you that hey, look, he is taking steps to honor what Charles Xavier wanted him to do. So, and he's not wearing his helmet, so we could essentially have an in on, like, you know, taking him over or controlling him in a way or getting him out of here. But, you know, I think there's a level of trust that they're trying to build with him. And even during the trial, you know, Storm was like, you guys go out there. Magneto and I will protect everyone in here or whatever. I mean, she's literally putting her faith into a guy who's been their villain.
Yeah.
And I think also, you know, when Executioner comes in, fires the weapon and it hits Storm, I thought that whole speech was so powerful when he says, you know, all the X-Men have ever done were deeds of good with their awesome abilities. And is this what they get in reward? And you see her like crawling on the ground, like, oh God, it was pretty intense.
Well, like, even to your point about them gaining or like trying to trust Magneto, like Jean makes it a point like early on in the second episode, because Scott's like, you know, I can have my wife probe your mind, and she kind of she gives him that look like, this is not what the fuck is his name who's working with Trask, the other guy with
the glasses.
Yeah. She's like, this isn't a situation where we need information. This is a complete breach of just human rights. Like, this is not fucking okay. I'm not gonna do that. And Magneto's even just like, yeah, go ahead, read my mind. I don't give a shit. And then Scott's just like, yeah, he'll have his mind. He like totally kind of does a goalpost change a little bit. He's like, oh yeah, you know, he can have his mind read today and he'll be on our side today, but not tomorrow or the next day after that or a year from now. Blah blah blah. Basically insinuating that no matter what happens, Magneto would never have the capability to change. Even though by the end of the episode, it's pretty fucking clear that Magneto is making avid steps to try and change.
He's trying.
Yeah.
But I think the point Ryan might be trying to make here is he's coming in, I'm leader because of a piece of paper of a will, and that's how it's going to be.
I get
right?
it. I mean,
without
reality,
any proven,
no track record, no point of reference
of, hey, I've
been like, doing... hey, I showed up, guys, I changed my costume. Actually, my gloves go all the way up to my biceps now. So,
but I mean, I think you can get away with that when it comes to animation. If it was live action, it would be like, huh? You know what I mean? And that's the difference between live action and animation. Is that animation you can kind of get away with that and then move forward with the story, while live action you would definitely. I know I would probably definitely stop and think, wait a minute, come again? Like, how does this work? You know,
I think in the context of live action, you'd probably have a better pass of trying to make this work with McAvoy and Fassbender as opposed to Stewart and McKellen. It's a little bit more viable, but even then, you'd have to have. It would have to be like. Had Fox not been bought by Disney and Fox was like, let's make a 5th X-Men movie after Dark Phoenix. What do? Let's bring in the Shi'ar Empire and kill Charles Xavier, who takes over the X-Men. How about fucking Magneto? You know, there's a million different ways you could probably write it. But regardless, the fact that it's A, animation, B, a continuation of a series that had 4 seasons prior, it's a little bit more easier to buy that, yes, one of their most notorious antagonists is now the head of the Xavier Institute. It's a little bit more biteable. IMO, in my opinion.
Hashtag IMO.
Hashtag IMO. And Drogo's right. Guy Rich. That was his name. Yeah.
Guy Rich. Yeah. But I love the first episode. You know, going back to just looking at the entire series, I love in the first episode. You know, it basically was the team coming together and just kicking a lot of ass. And having a lot of epic scenes, like, of course, we've talked about it already. The Cyclops landing scene I thought was fucking badass.
I saw that scene, and we talked about it with him before I saw the show. I liked what they did before that in the warehouse when he was like using it to like back up and like
that was really cool.
And I was like, that's fucking dope. But when he fell out of the or didn't fall, but when he jumped out of the
he didn't jump.
He
was pulled out.
The X-Jet.
Right, when he was going down,
the Blackbird,
it wasn't as
Blackbird, thank you.
As prolific as what he did in there, because he wasn't he wasn't actually controlling it. He just like used the beam and came out of the smoke and all that. And I was like, okay, that's cool, but I liked what he did. I thought it was more inventive earlier in the warehouse scene when he was fighting.
I thought that scene was badass the way he landed. I was just like, fuck yeah! I love he was like, just fired. Yes, he wasn't hitting the buttons. That's a little bit of a continuity issue, but he just fired and used that to like break his fall, and it's landed, and then to me, my X-Men, it was badass. I was like, this is fucking sick.
But do we really need that though? Do we really need the?
Hell yeah, we need that.
No. Hear me out. Because we've seen.
I had a massive erection. I was like, yeah.
TMI.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
Also, in the comics, it might be Ultimates or otherwise. Like,
this is breaking news that you had an erection.
Scott does have a button in his thumb or glove that also lets him shoot the blast. I don't know if that's quite in this, if it's apparently made in this show, but probably. I don't know. I didn't pay that much attention to whether or not he did the optic blast when he if he touched his visor when he was going down. Like, I didn't care that much.
It just seems to be hit or miss. At times he does it, times he doesn't. So yeah. I wonder at this point, does he really need to even be doing it? Just, hey, you got that ability, use it.
Well, I mean, I would think the same thing with when he was, just wearing glasses or whatever. And that kind of got old a little bit. Like whenever he's like pissed, is like, I'm going to do something. Shink, and I was like, seriously, every time it's like, it's kind of like, it reminded me of that one, what is it? College Humor with Superman when he was like, burn Batman. He's like, what are you going to do? Cause he always like doesn't use his eye beams or whatever, or his laser vision. So it's just sort of like, dude, if you're going to use it. Don't fucking threaten it all the time. With just his eyes, when he's wearing his glasses, he's just like, shink. Like, okay, we get it. You've got eye beams. Well,
one of the things that Sean and I had talked about was that, in these first few episodes, it hasn't been like, Wolverine centric. Like in the live action films, it's like, it's all about Wolverine because Hugh Jackman, he's very popular. Yes. So it's like, Wolverine. And this one, he's had a much smaller role than I thought he was going to have, which I like because, I like how they're focusing on Cyclops and Jean Grey and Magneto and just other characters of the X-Men. So, I mean, yes, he's had some big scenes.
Right?
Why?
Because Cal Dodd's voice is the one that sounds the most different of them all. Like, Lenore Zan sounds almost exactly like she did as Rogue all those years ago. I forget who voices Storm, but she sounds just the same, if not maybe a little bit older, and that's fine. But Cal Dodd absolutely sounds aged as opposed to when he sounded younger in the initial TV show. Well, like, he definitely sounds different.
I think also too is that we still have 7 more episodes to go, but it could also be that they don't want to overly establish Wolverine in this series because who knows? I mean, the Wolverine we're going to get in Deadpool Wolverine might be way different from what we're getting here. I'm not sure.
Wolverines. We could see a couple different Wolverines in that movie, allegedly.
I'm still holding out hope that this is the origin of that X-Men at the end of the Marvels because it was kind of like.
It kind of feels like it, right? Like Kelsey Grammer's Beast looks like Beast from this show.
He looks exactly like him.
He looks exactly like him, right? They had Professor X, Patrick Stewart's Professor X, look just like he did in the X-Men the animated series with yellow chair, green suit, and all. Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, pretty fucking close to the Wolverine as we've seen him in X-Men the 90s. Like it's very, very close. And even, you can make the argument about Deadpool because Deadpool's had like a handful of small cameos in the initial TV show, just as like blink and you'll miss it moments. But still, like, I even saw today that like Hugh Jackman is fueling fire for fucking Channing Tatum appearing as Gambit in Deadpool Wolverine. I'm like, if you guys are gonna make him Gambit, the only thing I ask is give him the black and red eyes. That's all I want. I want Gambit to have black and red eyes like he has had in this show, like he's had in X-Men Evolution, just in the comics. Just give him the black and red eyes. That's all I fucking ask.
I worry about with Channing Tatum. I worry about him trying to do the accent and it's sounding Cajun. Like super fake. Like, hey,
if I'm not mistaken, I think he is Cajun.
Still, I'm fucking Mexican. And I can't pull off a fucking Spanish accent if I was an actor. Like, I got this. Fault. Well, it's not my fault. It's my parents' fault. They're the ones who didn't teach me.
Because they just won't have Channing talk.
Yeah, they'll just be like,
hey. You just need to watch American Me a few more times.
Yeah, but that's it. American Me. But it'd be interesting if Channing Tatum does make a cameo in that movie. But at this point, it sounds like a bajillion people are supposed to make a cameo.
Right.
It's getting the same treatment that like Multiverse of Madness was getting when everyone's like, oh, this guy's gonna be in, and that guy's gonna be in, and this guy's gonna be in. So it's like, who the fuck even knows?
Also, like you've got Sean Levy out there being like, oh yeah, some of those are true, and it's just kind of adding more fuel to that fire. Whereas Sam Raimi was kind of mum about who or who not was going to show up in Multiverse of Madness, even though it was like on good authority that like Professor Xavier and Mr. Fantastic and even like some variant of Captain Marvel was probably going to show up. Even Agent Carter, I think, was even like alluded to prior to that movie being released. But this one, you know, Jennifer Garner's Elektra. We know Pyro's coming back. Fucking Taylor Swift is probably going to be in this movie as either Lady Deadpool or Dazzler, one or the other. The list of cameos for this film are fucking endless. And I would not at all be shocked to see like Daniel Radcliffe play like a variant of Wolverine. I don't at all buy that Henry Cavill is a variant of Wolverine. I think that's total bullshit, but that's just me. But the point is, the laundry list of fucking cameos for Deadpool and Wolverine is endless. Tom Cruise is not going to be in this movie. You're dead wrong.
And this too, Axel, the MCU playing 90s theme for the X-Men and Rising of W. That's completely different. This is a continuation of that same series, so it's not. It'd be one thing if like, no, not even that, because I mean they used the John Williams theme in Superman Returns, which was a continuation of the Donner's Superman, so that made sense. And that's like using it in Man of Steel when it's an entirely new Superman. Kind of like, well, wait a minute, this is a
they used it in Justice League.
Yeah.
And Black Adam.
And Black Adam.
They used a darker version of it in Black Adam, but it was still more or less the Williams theme.
It was.
And I mean, they used it in Multiverse of Madness. They had that very small hint of it, and then they also had it again in Miss Marvel. But again, it's just, I think it's a little bit more passable because of just how iconic that noise, that those sounds are with the X-Men as a whole. Whereas with Superman, you can kind of reinvent and retool him no matter how many fanboys bitch and cry, but yet some will still clamor and cling to the fucking John Williams theme, even though there are a lot of other themes for him that you can identify Superman with. Case in point, Superman the Animated Series, the Fleischer cartoons, Man of Steel, the, you know, Donner Superman, like even My Adventures with Superman has kind of a catchy tune to it. Like you can do multiple things with it.
And this being a continuation, you got to hit that nostalgia, right? You got to. If they'd have changed the theme up completely, your hardcore fans, the fans that wanted to see that continuation, they're going to be like, what is this? This isn't. Is this really a continuation? Because what happened to the theme song? I mean, they made sure they knew what they were doing with using that theme, maybe amping it up a little bit, but still keeping it true to what we remember from 97. So,
and it's not even the same exact theme. It's an updated version.
Exactly.
Of the theme too. Yeah.
But you can easily still tie it back to
100%.
the original again, making that connection again from the nostalgia perspective. So
100%.
And Black Adam, Joss, that's why they didn't work.
Yeah.
That's why it didn't hit the way they wanted it to. Not the sole purpose, but they didn't work. So I mean, they're bad examples of.
I'd argue it worked better in Black Adam's favor.
Oh, absolutely.
That's a very different conversation you're having at that point, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not so much as like that version of Superman. It's more like, Superman's back, and if you're gonna use a theme, if both Henry Cavill and Dwayne Johnson are like, yeah, sure, fuck it, why not? You know, I mean, if I was Lorne Balfe, I would have probably maybe done a hybrid of the Williams and Zimmer theme like they did for the Superman 75th short. But hey, you know, I'm not going to sit there and fucking cry foul on Lorne Balfe for it. He did a pretty solid Black Adam theme, if you ask me. But again, I think it's apples and oranges conversation.
Yeah, I think it's one of the cases where, you know, they wanted to make sure that Henry Cavill appealed to, or that Superman appealed to a wider audience, and they probably figured if we played a take of the Hans Zimmer theme, not everyone's gonna know what that is, but everyone knows what that is. So let's go with that.
We'll try to appeal to two different fan bases. You're 78, and then you're Henry Cavill.
Right.
Well, I mean, and you're looking at, they were still in the midst of some of the Hamada things where, he had Keaton coming back, and so they were like, look, we're going to play the original theme. Okay, that's fine then. Who knows? But they wanted to appeal to a wider audience. I get why they did it. I would have preferred them to use the Zimmer theme, but I get why they did it. It's
so if this leads into this X-Men leads into the live action, and then we and we're talking about potentially Daniel Radcliffe, what other variations? Who do we think the long term is going to be? Because Daniel Radcliffe ain't going to be the long term Wolverine.
I think the long term Wolverine doesn't happen until after Secret Wars.
Secret Wars, yep.
Yeah, I agree with Phil.
Yeah,
I think they're gonna bleed Hugh Jackman until then.
Yeah.
I think that they are going to utilize as much of the Fox X-Men as they can up until Secret Wars, and then Secret Wars is going to be their way of like parachuting into a more streamlined, brand new Marvel universe where they have much more liberty to recast most of their characters that they can't really use right now, like Iron Man, Captain America, maybe even a Thor, maybe even a new Incredible Hulk, because obviously, Ruffalo and Hemsworth can't. I don't know how they feel about it personally, but I know that, people age and they cannot do this shit forever. Paul Rudd was even just asked like about an Ant-Man 4, and he's like, I don't know, you have to talk to Kevin Feige. And I'm like, well, what does Ant-Man even look like after Secret Wars, right? Like what happens to that character? Do you still move forward with a Scott Lang? Do you still have his family, or do you kind of like go ahead with the entire retooling and bring it back to like maybe a bit more of a traditional status quo and like do a younger version of Hank Pym, and that's where you start off Phase 7 with this, not necessarily reimagined, but like retooled Marvel Cinematic Multiverse post Secret Wars. Like, what does the Marvel Universe look like after Secret Wars? And I think that when it comes to the X-Men, that is probably going to be where your best bet of getting everyone new recast then.
And that's not supposed to happen until 2027, 2020,
2027, something like that.
Still a ways away, but
we got ways to go still.
But still, I mean, I would rather them take their time to get to that point as opposed to saying like, oh yeah, we're gonna do it next year. We're gonna reboot the whole fucking thing. Like, wait, what?
I still think that there's a lot of potential and a lot of undesirable love, not undesirable, but there's like a lot of unfinished business with a lot of people who were part of like the Fox X-Men stuff that I feel like Kevin Feige's smart enough to look at that, a majority of that cast, and be like, yeah, you guys might not have been handed some of the best story or scripts, but we can at least give you a solid send-off as far as a multiverse is concerned. But even still, like, I do think that Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds are going to be in at least until Secret Wars. After that, I don't know. I honestly don't. I guess at that point, it would kind of depend on the success of Deadpool and Wolverine. But as far as Wolverine, the character specifically, I could absolutely see like a new version of that character. Deadpool, on the other hand, that's a bit of a different ballgame, because that character, like the way that character operates, the way his powers function, he can literally kind of live forever. So if you wanted Ryan Reynolds in that role for a longer period of time, you could almost make the case that like him, Tom Holland's Spider-Man, whoever Pedro Pascal's Reed, I'm sure is in it for post Secret Wars, I'd have to imagine as well. Really, there's like only like kind of a handful of characters you could literally just carry over, and some you're gonna have to wind up recasting anyway, simply because of the fact that like they're gone, or if they show up in Secret Wars like Iron Man or Captain America, specifically like Robert Downey Jr. or Chris Evans. The only way I could see them feasibly coming back is if they pull like a Loki, where you yank them out of a certain point of time and then put them back in before the end of Secret Wars, and that's how you justify having them in the fucking movie. That's really the only way I could see it happening. Other than that, that's how they get fucking recast after Secret Wars. Mm-hmm. But that's a whole fucking other tangent. That's kind of
well, no. And as you mentioned, as these actors and actresses get older. Even with Ryan Reynolds, right? I mean, how much longer does he really want to play the character? And at some point, do you just have a someone standing in the suit and he's just doing the voiceover, right? To keep that same feel going with that character. So we'll see. Got 3 more years to go, at least.
Right. Well, I mean, Deadpool and Wolverine's going to be like it's a stepping stone to Secret Wars.
I mean, for the actual Secret Wars itself.
Yeah.
We got some time before that actually even really.
Well, even then, like Avengers 5 is supposed to happen somewhere in between all of this. It's getting completely revamped. We have no idea what movie it is. I don't at all buy the fact that someone's out there saying it's going to be World War Hulk. That doesn't make any fucking sense whatsoever.
That makes zero sense.
That makes zero fucking sense.
Like, I've heard that from a few different people, and none of it makes any sense. Like, why would we go to that?
That doesn't at all track with anything that's leading to Secret Wars. So it's like, why would you even try and put that out there? It doesn't make any fucking sense whatsoever. I mean, you could try and make the connection from like Captain America Brave New World featuring a couple different Hulk characters, sure, But no, I just don't see how you do a fifth Avengers movie and it's World War Hulk, and then the next one is Secret Wars. That just doesn't fucking. There's the math just doesn't work. The movie math is not there. So I don't know. Like, what is Avengers 5 leading into Secret Wars? That is another burning question that Marvel, I think, is at this point. They kind of box themselves into it. Well, not really, but like, you know, they're in that situation because of like real world situations regarding the actor who was Kang. And they also have to, you know, kind of retool and, you know, a little bit of course correction there, given what happened all of last year between like Secret Invasion, Marvels, and Quantumania all fucking just bombing outright with all their audiences. So they're in a really difficult position. And I even think it's funnier that like Bob Iger's out there saying, oh, you know, we're dialing back the output of Marvel content this year. And it's like, yeah, this year you've got Deadpool, and then the next year you've got Fantastic Four, Captain America, Thunderbolts, and Blade. But let's be real, Blade's not coming out next year.
Happen.
Yeah,
There's no fucking way. There's just no way.
I don't think so, man. I don't think so. I mean, to me, it feels like it's going to be a Disney Plus show, but then again, I don't know. And where does he fit in?
Right? Like, where does Blade fit in all this?
And they keep talking about the group that he's a part of.
Midnight Suns?
Midnight Suns. Oh, it's going to be a Midnight Suns movie. Dude, you can't. You have to really establish Blade. And they're like, yeah, it'll be Blade. It's going to be Doctor Strange.
Not only that, like, you have to reestablish Blade and not do anything that is remotely close to the 3 movies that Wesley Snipes was a part of, too. Which is it's a juggling act.
But do we even really need Blade? That's that question.
No,
we
really don't. I mean, and I use this as an example. Like, here's Drogo saying, "Where did the Eternal Shang Tsung from Mortal Kombat, Moon Knight, and others fit into this?" That's the problem that they made, is that they started to invest in too many characters to the point where it's like, where do all these characters fit in? How do they tie together? They don't.
Well, they got shelved. These characters here. I mean, where the fuck are they? We haven't seen them since.
Especially Eternals.
And so, who cares about them?
Yeah.
You know?
I think that's why.
There's no. I mean, the only one that they've actually invested anything in is Miss Marvel, and that didn't really pay off.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, and there's Ironheart too that they're reshooting as well, and that one, they're gonna finish it out because they had already finished filming the entire show, so they're like, well, fuck. But at the same time, it's like, I mean, once you get past next year's movies, which is like, the Thunderbolts, Fantastic Four, and whatever else, then you start getting into, it looks like that's when they're going to focus more on getting, a Spider-Man 4, and then the Avengers 5 film, which we still don't really know which direction they're going to go into. And then after that, or who's directing it. And then after Avengers 5, we've only heard rumors that like Thor, the next Thor movie would come out after Avengers 5, and possibly, one like an Eternals or whatnot. And then you have Secret Wars, but something big has to, or some movie has to come out that leads into Secret Wars. You can't just have Thor.
Do you think Spider-Man 4 happens before Avengers 5? Because I think it's going to happen after Avengers 5. But I don't know. It could happen before Avengers 5.
Well, I mean, they're already doing Daredevil Born Again. Right. And Born Again is supposed to lead into Spider-Man 4. I can't imagine them having an Avengers film without Spider-Man being involved because he's such a big character. So that's why I would think that Spider-Man 4 would come out before Avengers 5. That would be the lead into Avengers. That way you reestablish Tom Holland, and then you get him back in there with the rest of the team. Because, I mean, like, if you want to say, well, nobody knows who he is, I mean, you can argue that, Scott Lang was in the Quantum Zone when he did the spell. So maybe Scott Lang knows who he is. So, like, at the end of Spider-Man 4, maybe Scott Lang, is the guy who makes a cameo.
Well, also, you could make the debate that even Stephen Strange knows that Spider-Man is still Peter Parker. Because him and Wong mentioned, like, oh, yeah, remember that spell you're not supposed to use the last time we did it? They have a recollection of using that spell.
They do.
So, to me,
that's true.
That just kind of spells out the idea, no pun intended, like, okay, so you now recall this spell happening and wiping everyone's memory of who Spider-Man is, so therefore you should still, on some technical level, know who Spider-Man is, to some varying degree.
Unless they just know that they used the spell but don't remember why they used it.
That's very true, too. didn't think of that.
Well, and then the other thing too is that you have Doctor Strange, possibly Ant-Man, Scott Lang, the other person,
Vulture,
the Vulture,
Michael Keaton's Vulture,
Michael Keaton's character.
because when the spell happened, he was in Morbius land, and then they brought him back after that. Like they shifted Venom.
I mean, yeah, that's true, but
it's like it's a jumblefuck web because it's Sony and Marvel, and they're kind of
it's funny that like that could be the main reason that but then I don't know. I mean, yeah, that could easily be it. Or at first I always thought that they were gonna do something to make contact with like Tobey Maguire or Andrew Garfield to make this multiversal Avengers team, and then they go, oh, okay, well, what about your Spider-Man? We don't have a Spider-Man, or like we don't know who he is, or whatever. They go, what do you mean you don't know who he is? He's Peter Parker. I'm Peter Parker. So like he'd be the one who knows who he is because he knows who he's met him before.
Be ironic and funny because then that would completely undo the entire ending of No Way Home.
And that's the thing too.
It'd be hilarious.
Any which way you do it, any which way you slice it, it undoes everything that was going to happen that they did at the end of No Way Home, because No Way Home was supposed to set him out to be like this ground level Spider-Man, which I think you can still have in Spider-Man 4, where he teams up with Daredevil and to take on the Kingpin. Yep. I think that'd be really cool. Like he's just doing his own thing, and then at the end of that movie is when you get the teaser of Multiverse. Someone knows who he is. Like
right. Yeah, I mean, if you look at the track record. Or not even the track record. If you look like just the continuity of the Tom Holland Spider-Man films, right? The first film, he's kind of teaming up with Iron Man here and there. The second film, he's with Nick Fury and S.H.I.E.L.D., even though it's actually the Skrulls. Then you get to the third film, he's like kind of on his own, but then he's met with the other Spider-Man that we all know and love over the other 2 decades of movies. You get to Spider-Man 4, you kind of go back to like the first movie status quo. Have him like team up with other notorious characters, but on the same level as him, i.e. fucking Daredevil. And that's one team up that I know fans have been like, yeah, make this happen. And even Vincent D'Onofrio has been like throwing gasoline on that fire. Like, oh yeah, I'd love to fight Spider-Man. I think a lot of people would love to see Vincent D'Onofrio Spider-Man go. Wow. Vincent D'Onofrio.
That'd be great.
I know, right? I think a lot of people would love to see Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin go up against Tom Holland's Spider-Man. And I'll take it a step further. If by some chance they have a scene where it's Kingpin in prison and Peter Parker comes in and just lays waste to Kingpin, and like maybe Vulture tells Kingpin who Spider-Man is, right? And that's how he kind of gets leverage over Spider-Man in the movie, in Spider-Man 4 per se. And then at the end of the movie, Spider-Man just whoops the fucking shit out of Kingpin. Like straight out of that sensation. Is it Sensational? Oh man. Whatever book J. Michael Straczynski did, and there was one issue where Peter Parker just beats the absolute piss out of Kingpin in prison. I would love to see that happen. But again, that's just like fanboy wishing at this point. But bottom line is, I think a lot of fans have waited a very long time to see Spider-Man and Daredevil like team up and fight Kingpin, and I think that's absolutely in the cards.
Would this be under the assumption that Daredevil also doesn't know who he is? Because then that would be an issue from his
in Daredevil
appearance in No Way Home.
He would not know who he is at this point. So he would just all he would know.
He would just know it's Spider-Man. I don't know.
It's Spider-Man. Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Otherwise, that's another issue.
It also depends on when they actually do release. What is it?
Spider-Man 4?
No, Daredevil Born Again. Right. Because Born Again is supposed to lead into Spider-Man 4, supposedly.
Well, remember, Daredevil Born Again was actually supposed to come out in like spring of this year. Then the strike.
Yeah, and then they redid the whole fucking show because they were like, okay, this is terrible.
They also retooled the entire show, got new showrunners, the whole nine. Yeah.
I'm sure if I looked hard enough online, I could figure out when it's supposed to come out. But I mean, I would imagine next year you're going to have a whole bunch of those movies that they already had in pre-production anyway. So all those films are going to come out, and then the next year I think is going to be kind of like this year where. So now we're talking about what 2026 is when you're going to get, your Spider-Man 4 movie, and then probably the following. I would think in 1 year. I wouldn't think that, but in some kind of order, it's going to go Spider-Man 4, Avengers, and then something else, and then Secret Wars.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's if they get rolling on Spider-Man I don't think that movie goes into production at the end of the year. I don't give a fuck what Jeff Snyder says.
No,
there's no way that fucking
it can't.
No one has signed a fucking contract.
Yeah.
No one has gotten a director. Like none of this shit is even on paper yet.
Like all they can do is
it's
write a script.
All at this point.
But all they can do for now is write the script. That's what they can do. And so they could get a script together, and then if anything, it would go in production probably next year,
early next year,
like in March or April is when they would shoot it,
right?
And it wouldn't be ready until the following year, probably like that summer of what is that, 2026. So and then you got to ask yourself, okay, when are you going to do Avengers 5? Then Avengers 5 would be the following year because then you got to put that together. You know, so
I could see them moving Avengers 5 from its May date to December. I could see them pulling fucking Star Wars and having it come out on Christmas.
Because I mean, yeah. You can compete with your. I mean, that's if anything Star Wars is even going to come out. But
well, and right now, from what I can find, Daredevil is listed for next year, but it's also being broken up in 2 parts, 2 9-episode parts, which could span you the entire year. So anything that's supposed to happen after Daredevil may not happen until the end of 2025 or sometime early 2026.
Damn.
And let's welcome in another panelist. He is the big, the bad, the Scar Giver, Brad.
That's what she said.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, what's up, dude?
Yes, and of course, as you can see below, unless it wasn't any clearer, I saw that like headline thing. Well, I saw that. It's like it's the only thing I could think of at the time. So,
so Brad, what do you think of X-Men '97? Have you got a chance to watch it? I know William's not a big fan of it. I know William doesn't want to talk about it, but have you got a chance to see it?
But real quick though, Ryan hasn't seen episode 3.
I know.
Oh, okay.
So let's just
I haven't seen episode 3 either. I've gone through the first 2. I've gone through the first 2, and that's I think I'm pretty much there with the kind of the consensus on, which is I'm enjoying it a lot, especially because I didn't as far as like Marvel animated shows at the time, I didn't follow the X-Men animated series till like kind of later in its run. It's like I was a little bit more into the Spider-Man animated series at that age, but I'm enjoying with with how they position Cyclops and like how they've the thing I've really enjoyed is like how much I think I might have mentioned this when we were streaming with Andre on Friday, and this is kind of what a lot of the consensus seems to have been on it, but I think I'm there with it, is that it's really, the show seems really conscious of the fact that it's evolving from the tone and from the template that was established with the initial series. So it's cognizant of the fact that a lot of its audience is older, so it's not necessarily gone darker, but it has gone a bit more mature, and I do think that's really been to its benefits. So I've enjoyed the show so far.
I agree. Yeah, it's good. It's been really, really good. Ryan had some qualms with the show. We had to talk him off the ledge, but he's good now. But no, overall though, it's been very entertaining, and I think they've done a really good job. The animation really stepped up in episode 3, which I won't give away where, but there's a really cool fight scene where they really did a lot with the animation, and it was just really cool, and I really, really enjoy it. So X-Men '97, definitely check that out. But also that came out was Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. Have you guys had a chance to see that?
I have not.
I have not.
Yeah, I'm probably going to see that over this weekend.
That's what I'm trying to try to do. Yeah,
I have. I'll probably say. Oh, you have? Okay, yeah, because
I've seen it.
It's weird for me because it's and I think I mentioned this when we were kind of discussing this also on Friday, is that it harkens back a little bit to the 2016 Ghostbusters, which is that I'm not. I always say it's like I'm a fan of the original Ghostbusters movie. It's like I generally have an affinity for that, but I don't necessarily classify Ghostbusters as one of my personal sacred cows. So, and it wasn't really until I think the 2016 one that I really kind of realized just how kind of near and dear that is to a lot of people. So that's been a little bit of a learning curve for me. As far as
did you like the 2016? Is that what you're saying, Brad?
No, it was okay. I was kind of here nor there on it. It was I think I'm one of the few people who's kind of just so on it. Everybody's got a hot take on it one way or another.
Is it on your shelf next to Birds of Prey?
No, it's on my shelf next to The Raid.
Wow. The Raid, of course.
I got that reference.
Oh, okay. Everybody gets that reference.
I understood that reference. Yeah.
But,
yeah.
But yeah, I'll probably be giving the new one a look over this weekend. Probably maybe I'll take my nephew to see it over Easter weekend.
That's actually one that's the only one I haven't seen of the Ghostbusters movies. I have not seen the 2016 movie.
It's not very good.
It's not.
It's not good.
Well, I'm not shocked Ryan didn't like it.
Well, it was a rehash. Okay, so Ghostbusters 2 is basically Ghostbusters 1, just fucking told a little bit different. It's got some, it's the same setup. But then
Ghostbusters
teacher, I didn't know.
It's
but
not
then
Ghostbusters 1.
Then the
Ghostbusters
2016
2.
was sort of a retelling of the exact same thing and put them like in very similar situations as the first one. But it's just like, okay, well, what do we do here? And then you add, Chris Hemsworth and he's this idiot or whatever. And
he's basically playing like the male version of Annie Potts' character, right?
Yeah.
But Annie Potts was more like really needed, but she was more. There was more of an
intelligent
in that movie.
She was intelligent. He was.
She was intelligent.
No, he was not intelligent.
No,
she was.
Annie Potts.
Oh yeah, she was. Yeah.
But he was a complete fucking goober.
No, he's
like,
got the IQ of Homer Simpson in it.
I thought he was more funny in which another horrible movie, which is Vacation. But I thought his role in that movie for me was like, oh, he can do comedy, and then he did fucking Thor, Love and Thunder, and Thor, and also I was like, oh, okay, he can't do comedy.
I thought he was funnier in Ghostbusters than he was in Thor, Love and Thunder. At least in Ghostbusters,
I
he's
have
supposed
to agree with you on that.
At least in Ghostbusters, he's supposed to be stupid, so you're like, okay, I get it. It's like it's cool that there's Thor and he's being
He was
stupid.
funnier in Ragnarok than Ghostbusters. Love and Thunder was like, I think, his worst.
Oh Lord.
And he was horny. Only in part 2.
So
no, in part 1 too. She was after Egon. That's right.
Am I the only one who's seen Frozen Empire?
I think so.
I think you are.
Sean, you haven't seen it, right?
I have not.
Okay, yeah, I am the only one who saw Frozen
What
Empire.
did you think about the movie?
But I will say I have heard and read enough. Like I feel like I have seen it.
My son saw it. But yeah, go ahead, Phil.
Well, I don't mean this in for dramatic pause or anything. I'm just trying to recollect my thoughts because I saw it in Boston when I was at PAX East on Thursday. I met up with my friend Paul Mitchells, who we were on the vodka stream every now and again. And
Paul
Mitchell, he's the owner of the shampoo brand. Go ahead.
Not quite, but anyway,
Paul Mitchell.
We saw Ghostbusters at the Alamo Drafthouse in Boston. This is the first time I'd ever been to an Alamo Drafthouse too, by the way. It was actually quite a very, very awesome experience. They're doing like a 90s themed like menu items. So I had a big Kahuna burger like from Pulp Fiction, as well as one of the best strawberry milkshakes I've ever had. On top of the fact that I got to see the Beetlejuice trailer in front of the movie before it hit online, and it was fucking the best surprise I've had in a long time. That was great. Anyway, getting to Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, I really liked Afterlife, but I'm also kind of like Brad in that Ghostbusters is not like my one of my sacred cow franchises that I hold near and dear to my heart. It's one of those, oh yeah, that was fun. Like, I don't necessarily hate or think any of the movies are bad, even though I haven't seen the 2016 movie. But of the 4 that feature the main cast, I think the first one is probably the one I'd watch more over 2, and that's not a slight to 2. But even still, like I love Afterlife and what it does for the franchise because it honors Harold Ramis's character Egon in a lot of ways. You have the new cast kind of coming in, even though I can't stand Finn Wolfhard. I think he's just a terrible actor and he's like just worthless in this movie too. But I think Frozen Empire, if you're a fan of Ghostbusters, and I mean a huge fan of the entirety of it, like the movies, the animated show, if you had like the toys and shit, this movie will appeal to you on the Ghostbusters fan level in that regard, because Afterlife appeals to you in the nostalgic, here are my favorite characters regard. But Frozen Empire definitely plays like an episode of the animated series and also kind of opens the world up even more. And I think it did a very good job of doing that. I also did think that the villain, I've seen a lot of people say it's like, not well done or too one-dimensional. And I'm just like, this is a fucking ghost who freezes people. We knew this from the trailer. How deep of a fucking villain were you really expecting from this? I don't understand the need to be hypercritical of a thing that has been permanent from this whole franchise since fucking Gozer. Like, come on. What are we really complaining about here?
Well, and Ghostbusters is like, I mean, you're talking about a universe in which ghosts look like little weird creatures flying around, like
Slimer, yeah.
Like,
Slimer, yeah.
So which animated series are you referring to? The original or the one that they tried to do in the late 90s?
Original.
Okay. The real Ghostbusters.
Thank you.
I just want to make sure.
I have those toys.
Logo marching along to the theme.
And then they had the
gorilla.
They did one season.
No, that's a different Ghostbusters.
No.
Yeah,
Remember that one, the one with the gorilla. I was always like,
I enjoyed the movie, but again, I'm a little biased in that one. I don't like Finn Wolfhard. I think he's not only just not a good actor. I think his character Trevor is just outright useless most of the time. I do like that the director and even Jason Reitman, like, they've referred to this new era of Ghostbusters as the, excuse me. That's great, Matt. It's referred to as the Phoebe Spangler saga. And I'm like, oh yeah, she's a great character. Like, what they do with her in the movie is actually really fucking cool. But since no one else here has seen it, I really won't dive too deep into that. But it's more or less, it's a learning lesson for her in a very teenage kind of way. That's great, Matt. And that's great. Whoever keeps pulling up this fucking comment. Like,
he pulled it up. I'm sorry. I didn't realize. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's yeah, cool. Main villain is weak. Give me something more palpable to talk about. Anyway,
hey, sex is Ryan.
Yes, something else we're well aware of. Anyway, yeah, I thought Ghostbusters: Frozen Empire was a very nice second entry into this franchise. Like, it's a solid movie. I don't understand why critics are being hyperbolic. I don't understand why, some fans are like running at the fucking mic just to like try and tear this one down of like, oh, this isn't my Ghostbusters. Get the fuck out of here. This is a franchise about fucking stopping ghosts and paranormal and friends and family getting together. And that's ultimately what this movie's about. And I will also say that Camille Nanjiani has a really fun additional part in this movie. Supporting character. There we go.
Well, so as someone who has seen it, does it have anywhere else to go? Because so far, this it hasn't even made back its budget yet.
Yeah, the last one, when it came out, it was like a hit. Everybody was like, holy shit. It was in the vein of like Top Gun Maverick.
Kind of weird,
like,
though.
Wow.
Like, nobody knows that it was like, I didn't really know when it was coming out. I knew it was coming out soon. I didn't know it came out this past weekend. I was like, the fuck?
I think if this movie has a hindrance, it's definitely its release date, because as we all know, Godzilla X Kong comes out this Friday, or this Thursday rather.
Tomorrow, pretty much.
Yeah, and tomorrow. That's literally going to chop its legs off at the box office. But I will also say the film has a $100 million budget. Doesn't really have that much to worry about.
Yeah.
And on top of that, you factor in, merchandising sales. You factor in its inevitable lead to streaming. I mean, even the directors have said, like, we're working on an animated show, like another animated show.
Oh,
I think they're in it for like.
Sure.
I think they're in it for the long haul. I absolutely see at least one more movie happening, regardless of how much money this one makes back in its entire box office run.
Yeah,
and in that
trying
final
to make
film,
an expanded universe.
No more of the original cast.
Also, to answer your question, yes, I think by the end of the movie they do establish the fact that you can do more in this world.
Okay, and that's what I was hoping for, was that, at the end of the film, you're like, oh yeah, there's definitely gonna be a part 3, or did it end where you're like,
it ends in a way
shelving this franchise for a little while.
It ends in a way, not so much as like, how the first movie had a post-credit scene where they allude to the firehouse. There's a mid-credit scene in this movie. I won't say what it is, but I will just say that the end of the movie absolutely opens up the possibility of them having to continue on with their endeavors. I'll just leave it at that.
Okay, sounds good.
It was a fun time. I enjoyed myself, and I'm not even like a super huge Ghostbusters fan.
Yeah, again, that's kind of where I was sort of falling on.
That's good news.
No, it is.
I wouldn't.
No, I mean,
I casual, but yeah, but I get having especially since having a nephew, with who's going to be turning 11 in July. So you kind of weigh that a little bit on these things too, where it's like, oh, this is something I could take like my nephew or my kid to, even though I don't have kids. So that's been kind of a thing where it was. I don't know if I've been consciously thinking that, but it's kind of the thought. It's like, oh, it's like if I'm going to see this theatrically, this is something he'd probably be interested in too. So it's like I probably kind of kill two birds with one stone on that. And by the way, this is kind of this is a slight non sequitur maybe, but it does relate to Ghostbusters. But I don't know if anybody's been seeing on social media that one picture of Ernie Hudson's kind of circulating around where he's at a con or something, and everybody's pointing out that he's 78 and he looks like he's about maybe mid-40s. So,
yeah, he looks good for his age. I've seen that picture.
He's aging well. Well,
no, he's aging.
And that was the thing that bothered me. Well, yeah, right. That was one thing that bothered me about the 2016 movie was that like they brought back Ernie Hudson, but he has an entirely different role. He was
they all do, right?
They all had none of them are the original characters. They're just like they just cameo as other characters in the movie. It was like, what the fuck?
Oh, you're talking about Ghostbusters 2016?
Yeah,
I know about the cameos.
Stupid idea.
Like Aykroyd, Murray, and Ernie Hudson. They all have like cameos as completely different people that aren't Venkman, Zedmore, and
there's other people.
It really does
completely different people.
In hindsight, I mean, it does kind of looking back on that one. I mean, it's like it really does. I mean, this kind of goes to Williams, Mr. William Powell, of course, the Sci-Fi Center.
Your infamous co-host, yes,
of course. It kind of goes to what, his point that he always makes about reboots, predominantly fail, and I think that maybe is kind of like a poster child in that, because looking back on it and with what they've done with the subsequent Ghostbusters movies, that really could have. I think that almost could have worked better as like a legacy sequel. Because I mean, there really is nothing intrinsically where it's like if you could have changed maybe like 2 or 3 elements to the 2016 one. It's like it could have been like basically like the third movie, where it's like now we're just bringing in a new team. These guys are kind of mentoring them.
I mean, that's essentially what Frozen Empire more or less seeks out to accomplish. Like they have the legacy characters in ways mentoring the new cast. So I think it accomplished what it needed to do, regardless of some minor nitpicks I might have had. But I don't agree that the main villain was weak. I think that's a little overblown. I mean, because again,
Drogo's asking if Sigourney Weaver is back, and he's asking in a slightly different terminology than I'm going to put here.
No, she wasn't. You get a lot of Venkman, but you don't get Sigourney Weaver. I'll say that.
She's not in it at all.
Well, not a lot of Venkman. He's actually the one of the original 3 you see the least. Annie Potts is in it though. She's great. You see her suit up.
One of my favorite jokes. One of my favorite jokes in the original is when Venkman shows up in her apartment. She's had her encounter with Gozer. And says, "Are you the key master?" He says, "Not that I'm aware of." Slams the door, opens it again. "Are you the key master?" "Yeah, I'm a friend of his. He told me to stop by." That's one of my favorite. I always
is Rick Moranis in the movie?
No.
That would have been great.
Yeah.
That's the one I would love to see happen.
I know he retired from acting, but still, that would be great.
Yeah,
he doesn't put it that way. He says he's just exceptionally selective these days.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
I got turned into a dog, and they helped me. Thank you. Thank you, Lewis. That was short and pointless.
I would love to see Sigourney Weaver come back
Jesus.
for like a larger part in a third film, but I don't know. Paul shot the idea of like we haven't seen, and I don't remember if they established this in Afterlife, but Trevor and Phoebe's father, like is Carrie Coon's character Callie, is she divorced or did her husband die too? I don't remember in Afterlife if they ever established that or not. If she was just like a widowed mom or just a single mom.
I think she was a single mom.
Okay,
because if she was widowed, it'd be like, oh, let's find the ghost of your dad. So I think they just made it to where it was like,
because her dad was Spangler, like Egon Spangler. We all know clearly what happened with him, but like Paul shot the idea of like, oh, they should get Bill Hader to play their dad, because you could have Paul Rudd and Bill Hader just fucking riff off each other in a third movie, and I was like, oh yeah, I could see that.
I could see them bringing or introducing the dad in that
right.
That part, but. I mean, I hope they do make another one, because I mean I like Ghostbusters. I'm definitely gonna check this one out. But yeah, I mean I thought Afterlife was really good, and I loved that they used the old music they used in the first 2 films. That to me that was key as well.
Oh yeah, how was the music in this one?
Like I said, I'm not a huge Ghostbusters fan, so I couldn't even tell you if like the music was like superbly on point. I will say that there is a really great nod to the original song with whoever created the original rap. Like there's a music video with them all in it in the movie.
Yeah.
There's Junior, what's his name?
Yeah.
Freddie Prinze Jr.
No, Ray Parker Jr.
Ray Parker Jr. Yeah, there's a music video with the original cast and Ray Parker Jr.
Wasn't Ray Parker the guy who did? Ray Park. did.
He's like advertising all over the place that he's going to be at some con. I'm like, I don't think anybody wants to see you, dude.
Oof.
I can twirl around a stick real good.
Wild. But yeah, it was a fun time. I enjoyed myself.
Was that about Ray Park or Ray Parker Jr.? Who are you talking about, Brian?
What?
Who's advertising that they're going to be at?
Oh,
Ray Park.
Ray Park. Really?
Okay,
yeah.
Are you drawing right now? What are you doing? You're looking down your drawing pad. Either that, or you're staring at your hands.
These hands
look so strong.
Never ending story.
He's debating if he should be a hand model.
I tried to save them.
This
slipped through my fingers.
I'm wondering how much this might venture to spoilers, but
the racing snail.
Because
the guy reminds me of you, though.
The Ghostbuster I always kind of inquire the most about is Winston, and kind of like what his because he was always my favorite Ghostbuster because he was the
bat.
He's the guy off the street. He was the guy who's like the voice of common sense. Where it's like, has it ever occurred to you? It's like we've been so busy because the dead haven't risen from the grave. So, I've always said, as far as like each of the individual Ghostbusters, he's actually kind of been the guys sort of related to the most. So, yeah, again, maybe avoiding spoilers, like what's kind of his presence or his role in a Frozen Empire?
Without spoiling it, I think to your point of him being the person on the ground and like kind of grounding everyone. He does do that, but he also oversees a lot of what transpires both within the firehouse and in another undisclosed location. Like when I say they expand on the world, they literally expand on on the empire that is the Ghostbusters. Like Zedmore is very much the bankroller in that respect, and he does his best. Him and Ray, they get a lot of time together as opposed to Venkman. Like Venkman's still he's in the world and he's still very much the scientist and he's still kind of creating stuff. But Ray and Zedmore absolutely have much more screen time together than all three of them do.
Okay.
I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, well, and like what you described, that kind of sounds like almost like that sounds like something, the kind of like the progression of what he would do, because of course when he comes in.
Seriously, guys,
hell,
like there's a point in the movie where Ray and Zedmore are having like a very serious conversation, and Ray, in like to your point, he kind of has to bring Ray back to reality a little bit and kind of reminds him like, hey, we're getting up here in age, like, is this really how we want to spend our time? And Ray kind of gives him like, yeah, dude, this is exactly how I want to spend my time. Like, he's the one trying to remind the group of like, yeah, we were once this, but now we are this. And Ray has like the perfect response to that. And like, yes, but I still want to do this. It's very much like you see their relationship evolve in a certain respect, but you also see like where they are as characters. I don't really want to get into it because it's very spoilery.
Well, it's good to hear, but it's good to hear that character, as Brad put it, where he's keeping them grounded, is still there. Like that's still much part of the character that we remember from the older films. So
yeah, that was the way I looked at Winston. Was that he was because again he walks in, it's like, if there's a paycheck, it's like I need a job. If there's a paycheck in this, I'll believe whatever you tell me. So he that was always the thing I really loved about the original, was you had the dichotomy of like the three scientists who they're really into, really experts on all the paranormal stuff, and he's the guy he was just. But they're kind of socially awkward. They're sort of also they're all kind of just so wrapped up in the data of it, and in the minutia of it, that a lot of stuff kind of flies over their heads as far as just like common sense. And Winston was the guy who's like really, and he's the one who picks up and says, hey, we've been so busy, you think maybe because the dead have been rising from the grave. So that was kind of his role, was almost to be like almost like the humans.
He was the everyman
to the Ghostbusters. Yeah.
And that's he was the one, because they were scientists, so he was the one that they used so that the audience could connect and understand like what the fuck is going on from a just average Joe perspective.
Yeah, that's okay. That's his role in Frozen Empire. He bankrolls a lot of the operation now, but yeah, He does keep everyone on the ground.
It'll be interesting to see though where they go next, whether that's animated series or another film. So I'll be interested to see where they go next.
It's I wonder. I think Ghostbusters. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I wonder if the new animated series that they're doing with Netflix will be a direct tie-in to like whatever they're doing now.
Yeah. It makes sense if they did, and then wrap it. Maybe they say, hey, we're going to wrap this up and kind of, put this on the shelf for a bit and wrap it up with the final film.
Yeah.
And say, hey, we're going to put Ghostbusters on the shelf for,
I think,
a little bit.
I think Aykroyd, and he's always been vocal about, trying to create a universe, a shared, connected,
yeah, because he was chasing after
universe. He wants 20 years. Go through, and so they want to continue with like video games and movies and television, all kinds of shit. He just wants to franchise the fuck out of it before he croaks.
I was watching a video. I was watching a video while I was in Boston, and essentially Ghostbusters is more or less the brainchild of Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis. And Ivan Martin did like bankroll it, produce it, and direct it. Yeah, but more or less like Ghostbusters is his baby. Like he has a very near and dear connection to the film and the franchise as a whole. But yeah, like I was actually, you know what? I'm going to shut up because I don't want to spoil anything. But yeah, Ray has a great part in the movie. I'll just say that. Aykroyd's character. Right. Yeah.
All right. Sounds good. I'm looking forward to taking my nephew to it this weekend then.
Yarp. Time. I'd give it a 4 out of 5 stars.
No, actually, kind of another kind of slight, sort of related, but I mentioned this, a couple of our streams. I think with when we had Andre on Friday, because it's weird now we're getting like kind of Ghostbusters finally kind of coming back into prominence, and for the longest time I always kind of looked at and it's fitting because Ivan Reitman was also director. Was Evolution from 2001. That for my money for that time that was basically essentially the equivalent to Ghostbusters 3 because it really is Ghostbusters with aliens.
Very true.
And they even got Aykroyd in on that, which was and William hates that movie as he pointed out. It's like come on, man, it's hilarious.
Well, the game itself, like the Ghostbusters game, that was almost like a part 3.
Yeah, I hear people say that. It came out in 09, I think, 09 or 2010.
Yeah. Did you guys see this? Oh
Evolution
my god!
Somewhere in there, yeah.
You guys check this out. So, Aaron Bailey.
Oh, I think I did see this. Yeah. So, I saw that.
This is the original one he did that went viral, right? Even though he just pieced it together. Then he did this one, went viral. Everyone was like, "Oh, he was not there, no!" And then now he did this one, and James Gunn put it in a story.
Anything like what Gunn looks like.
No. But James Gunn posted this on his story. I was like, oh no.
I feel really bad because every time Aaron does this, people have to crop his watermark out. And it's just like, give credit where credit is due.
Yeah.
And he even says, well, add this new one to the list. And so if you look at, oh shit, I hit the wrong button. So if you look at his Instagram, let me see. So this is James Gunn's Instagram. And there it is.
Yep.
He's like, what?
Yeah, but again, the people thought. I mean, Guns just happens to fun sharing that, but I mean, the fact that people thought that was real.
They thought it was real.
Yeah,
like,
thought it was real.
It's so bad, dude. It's so bad.
But with art in here, for God's sakes.
But I mean, since we're talking about, we're talking about Ghostbusters, and then you mentioned that Godzilla and Kong movies coming out.
Uh-huh.
Tomorrow?
Yeah, tomorrow. Kong with the Infinity Gauntlet, he's going to snap away half of all life. I guess.
It's like it's going the way of Transformers and the Fast movies. Like it's just like I really don't want it to get too wacky, but I think it's going to. I think they're going to continue to push the limit of how outrageous they can get with these characters.
Hold on. Do you recall in the Showa era where Godzilla literally flies through the fucking air to kick his enemies, and you're talking about like how?
Yeah, I know. But,
come on, man.
Well, that's like saying when Batman he ran around with a bomb on his head and was trying to get rid of it, which is a great scene. I love that scene, by the way. But still, it's like I would rather see Godzilla vs. Kong be taken like more seriously, like they're actual creatures, kind of like how they were in King of the Monsters and
Skull Island.
Yeah, Skull Island, Gareth Edwards, Godzilla.
Sure. Yeah, but Gareth Edwards was like completely taking it serious.
But they're really trying to move away from that, and now they're just like, let's just get these movies out there so that they're fun, they're action packed, and you can turn your brain off and drink your Pepsi, and eat your popcorn.
Well, didn't you watch Monarch? You watched Monarch, didn't you?
I watched most of Monarch, and then I fell behind.
Monarch definitely takes it back to that era of the kaiju verse. It very much takes it back to we can take this stuff seriously, but then you get to like Godzilla vs Kong, and I also think this is kind of like inherent with the director too. Like you have Adam Wingard coming back to direct Godzilla x Kong, and it's like, okay, well, how do we follow up Godzilla versus Kong? Oh, well, let's just have them team up. Fuck, okay, how and why? Oh, let's just have them fight another giant ape and another giant lizard. Fuck, okay, how? Well, we gotta give Kong a gauntlet. Fuck, why? How? Because giant monster gauntlet. Yeah. I don't know. Like I feel like,
how do we make the monkey snap?
I feel like
that's that. He has that for a reason, because the ape that they're fighting, he actually has like the spine of another, and he flings it at Kong, wraps it around his wrist, and then pulls it, and it totally shreds his wrist and his hand up, which is why then they give him that gauntlet.
There's also a point in the trailer where Kong's the same hand is like getting frozen, presumably by Shimu, the other lizard.
Man,
kaiju.
his hand takes a beating in this movie. He's like, oh, this hand. I need
I cannot have more fun with this hand.
You know what
I mean, at some point, these are just going to be. I mean, I think they're really just aiming for. Hey, we need a summer blockbuster. We need to make some money. Kids are out of school. We know we're gonna make some money back on this. Let's just put it out there.
The gauntlet he's wearing, but the gauntlet he's wearing, it looks like. Remember in Age of Ultron when he was in the
gauntlet.
What do you call it? He was in the Hulkbuster suit. And he was like, go to sleep, like.
Oh yeah,
I feel like it's gonna do that.
Like, Well, see, here's the thing with it too. I've kind of this is kind of a theory I've been developing, or maybe not a theory, maybe more like a way I'm sort of interpreting it, because you could definitely sense that the tone, like it's from 2014 Godzilla to now, like it started out with the kind of the grittier tone, and now it's kind of moved into more kind of a a little bit more kid friendly, a little bit more crowd pleasing. And I think
a little more who gives a fuck, like let's just have a good time.
Well, I think here's what it is. This is what they're doing with the MonsterVerse as far as tone, as far as the kind of popcorn nature of what it's going to. This is basically what they tried to do with DC without like having like a Justice League in the middle of it.
Absolutely.
So it's like if that happened, but you didn't have like a movie that just cratered everything in the middle of it, and then just left the whole world and fan base pissed off. It's like if you just progress that to that tone naturally, this is kind of what that is.
It went from this to this.
Oh, that's
you know what I mean? Where you're like, oh no, what's happening?
I'm not sure I quite agree with that.
Yeah,
but you know what I'm saying? Like,
a little bit harsh.
I understand what you're saying. Yes.
It went from dark and gritty to more like upbeat, special effects, action heavy. Like
I would have gone like what
not
you just showed
corny, but it's just action heavy. You know what I mean? Like, fuck it.
Well, like what you went with there, it's like I get what you're saying, but it's like I would have gone with the second clip. I would have gone with like one out of like Aquaman or Shazam. That's probably more what I would have gone with.
Definitely. And I feel like, the first three films, like Godzilla, Kong Skull Island, and then Godzilla King of the Monsters, you had three directors there with very distinct ideas of what they wanted to do for their movies. And then Adam Wingard comes in and goes, I'm just going to make Godzilla and Kong fight. And then the next one comes, he's like, I'm going to make them fight together. It's like, okay, if that's your vision, that's, I guess, what we're getting, and that's fine.
Like Godzilla versus Kong, they were just like, hey, not only are they going to fight, they're going to have a huge fight on top of a fucking aircraft carrier. What?
Yeah.
There's that.
Well, and then of course, then it's going to be Kaiju BVS, which is why I say it's because they're going to start fighting, and they team up against another villain.
Oh, it totally was. Like when they were fighting, I mean, he alluded to it the entire time, so I was like, okay, so this is BVS, so they're going to team up, and they
really, as a Godzilla fan, I would have totally preferred to see Godzilla fight Mecha Godzilla on his own terms, as opposed to like having to team up with Kong to take it out. I was like, okay, yeah, we get it. You can fucking whoop Kong's ass, but the fact that Mecha Godzilla can come in and kind of whoop your ass, I was like,
well, he was already hurt.
True, but still, I'm just like, I would have much preferred to see this in another Godzilla solo movie, like. But oh well, I it is what it is. I'm not gonna fucking sit there and Boo, Adam Wingard. It's just not my style.
I think part of it is also that as far as like the tone shift being kind of standing out more is with the MonsterVerse is the fact that we had Godzilla -1 just a couple of months ago, and that's maybe like the the most seriously I think any movie has really ever taken Godzilla.
You know what?
I mean,
it's like going from the Batman to the Flash.
Okay.
I mean, and look at it this way: you have Godzilla -1 and the Batman, right? You have very serious takes on the characters, very dark and ominous, and very real takes on the characters, and then you get to Godzilla x Kong and the Flash, where you have a Batman who's whimsical and jokey and a little lighter, and depending on which version of Batman you're talking about, it's
and also
still in
Michael
the same fucking
Keaton's
ballpark. Yeah, we know. And then you get to like Godzilla x Kong. And what is Godzilla? He's fucking running around. He's got pink power now, and he's Super Saiyan Black, whatever the fuck it is. He's got a pink power up now, and it's
so
great.
I mean, if you want to look at the whole Godzilla, the MonsterVerse, I mean, when you, I haven't seen it yet, and I want to, but like when you look at Godzilla -1. That's like the Zack Snyder verse, and then you got everything else. You know what I mean? Like, robotic arms, let's go. But I want to see -1, and Ryan, I think Phil's seen it too. I think.
Yeah,
I've seen it.
You said it was really good, right?
Oh, dude.
Oh yeah, it's awesome.
Fantastic. It's
No.
good. It's
-1, and
I want to though. Yeah, I would definitely want to see it.
Oh, and again, it's like the
fantastic.
best atomic breath I have ever seen from Godzilla.
Yeah. The only issue I ever had with it was that when he was just sitting on top of the water, it was like, wait, he's waiting. It's kind of silly.
Are you saying he swam like a duck? Probably.
his feet were probably kicking under the water, just kind of treading water. I was like, how the fuck?
I will say
dude,
for
that's just
-1,
fucking deep.
for -1, I hope we see make the Criterion collection from a physical release if we ever get a physical release.
I hope so.
They always seem to nail their content from a Blu-ray or 4K perspective, and I think one would definitely benefit very well from that type of format.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of cool scenes though, like in all these movies. I mean, King of the Monsters had some badass scenes. When that one monster comes out of that volcano and just shreds that fucking city apart and then takes on the jets. Yeah, that was badass. And then in Gareth Edwards' Godzilla, that shot where all the ships are following Godzilla as Godzilla is swimming in the ocean. That was a badass shot, like a bird's eye view. I was like, dude, this is sick.
Or like Kong Skull Island, where he's munching down on the octopus creature, and after he just kind of tears it apart, it's fucking.
He just starts eating it.
Yeah.
It's like,
It's
fuck yeah.
I think each one so far has served a purpose. It's just don't go too far down the rabbit hole.
Well, that's my point.
Whimsical, right?
Yeah,
so,
right.
Like don't get so stupid where like the next one, King Kong has a fucking tank. You know what I mean? He's driving around like.
Or the next one's like they're in they find themselves fighting like Dominic Toretto or something, which could totally probably happen now.
Hey, it's all about family. It's all about family.
No. What would make this really stupid?
Always about family.
Is two things. One, if they found a way to make them travel back in time to fight somebody else, so time travel. Or two would be if they had to take Godzilla and King Kong and put them on a ship and take them to another planet to go fight another monster on a different planet.
Well,
that's where I see the next one
Ooh.
going. Like, oh no, they're gonna tranquilize them and put them on a ship. And then they're gonna go fight a monster on a different planet. Like,
There
oh
you
my
go.
God.
You gotta get Space Godzilla in there somehow.
That's it, man.
Or
That's
even
it.
what's the other one? Gigan. I would love to see Godzilla and Kong fight at Space Gigan, because they did say Ghidorah wasn't even from Earth. Like that's why they called it Monster Zero, because he did not originate from Earth. So I'm like, oh, okay, can we get more monsters like that?
Well,
the sky, please.
In -1, is there another monster, or is it just him?
Nope,
No,
it's just Godzilla.
It's just Godzilla, and he's just fucking shit up. And he's like,
it is Godzilla who doesn't care. It's Godzilla. It's like I roast a whole city in the ground and smile about it. Godzilla.
Yeah.
So this is the opposite of the no kill world Batman. This is the Godzilla that kills, that wants to kill everybody.
Like
there you go.
No, this is the no not kill rule Batman.
No. Godzilla just doesn't use guns.
No, Godzilla looks at you trying to shoot him, and he fires his atomic breath right back at you. If not, just kick you into the water and just let you survive. Maybe.
Because Ryan, you were saying when he charges up and the spikes stick out, you said like it was cool though, right? Like
it's visually it looks amazing. But it's like
just not for the people on the ground in front of it.
It just gives you a good indication. Oh, okay, now it's time for us to move.
Yeah, I give you a 10-second head start. Not that's going to help you much at all.
Yeah.
But.
He's like,
he's charging up.
He's fired. Hopefully, he doesn't have flatulence.
What was it? I guess it's the end of the movie, so maybe we shouldn't talk about it. But you were saying that they were trying to time something to hit Godzilla with something, and it was just okay. Come on.
So the timing of it was just like, okay, all these things are going on in this short amount of time, and it's even in slow-mo, and it's like, okay, I can give you a little bit, but I can't give you a lot. It's like there's just too much going on for it to be that short of a period of time for him to just power up and for the people around him to do all this crazy shit. And it's like, okay, you're stretching it, man. You had me until then. But overall, minus that, dude. Minus that. It's a good movie. It's a good watch.
Yeah, and again, I think because of the fact that we just saw Godzilla -1 and that became as acclaimed as it was, just the contrast in tone, because it's even darker than what the MonsterVerse started out as. I mean, it's about the darkest Godzilla movie I think we've ever seen, and so seeing like within the span of like 4 months or so.
You didn't see the Matthew Broderick movie?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, of course I saw.
It's just the darkest one.
Some dark times. That's what that is.
Listen, okay, if you not watch the animated series, because that's actually pretty awesome that they followed up the '98 Godzilla with.
I remember they had a video game with that Godzilla. This shit was fun.
I had that on Game Boy. Yeah,
you did. Yeah,
I had that on Game Boy. Yeah,
but I think that because we just saw -1 and the tone is such a contrast with where they're taking the MonsterVerse now, it just makes kind of like the just the popcorn crowd pleaser, kid friendly, just spectacle aspect of Godzilla x Kong. It just makes it stand out that much more. And maybe hits a lot harder because we just saw a Godzilla who is absolutely merciless, who just is take no prisoners, who again, you fire one bullet at him, he goes literally to the nuclear option. And we're seeing that a few months later, it's a Godzilla who is outright heroic and teaming up with another kaiju. So that makes the tone shift that the MonsterVerse has taken just stand out that much more prominent now, because we just saw a Godzilla who was probably the most villainous I think we've ever seen.
Yeah, that's certainly a way you can look at it. I mean, you have two very different, radically different portrayals of the character. I kind of look at it as more like you have two ends of the same spectrum. Like you can have a Godzilla that is very much the antagonist, very much the darker, just merciless, no kill rule type of Godzilla. And then you've got like the Showa era Godzilla where he's just fighting other kaijus and he's kind of a hero, and like we're gonna team up with Kong and they're gonna fight the evil versions of themselves for this team up movie. And it's like that's why it's called the New Empire. And it's like
we have an OG Godzilla and a Hollywood Godzilla.
There you go.
Yeah.
But
pretty soon he's going to be swinging his tail like Boots from Sonic to fly
around. Listen, as far as like having them fight other, it's like as far as fighting other kaiju, like for where the MonsterVerse could go. I mean, there's all kinds of ones I would vote for whether they're one. But listen, no,
I've always wanted to see. I'm sorry. I've always wanted to see Godzilla or King Kong or both versus fucking Ultraman. I've always wanted to see
against Voltron.
One I've been waiting for
Ultraman.
is like we have not. I feel like Biollante has really never gotten the
same.
Credit.
Oh my god, that would be a fun one, right? Like to me,
exactly.
That's what you do for a Kong sequel. Like have him in Hollow Earth and have him fight fucking Biollante. Oh my god, that'd be phenomenal.
I mean, Godzilla versus Biollante, because I think that was like '89 when that came out, something like that. Because it was the direct sequel to Godzilla '85, and that was basically the Godzilla -1 of its time.
Yep.
With the tone it takes and like the way Biollante is created. Again, if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it because it's a very different kind of a Godzilla from the Heisei era. but it's again, it's probably the closest point of comparison I could make to -1 is probably Godzilla vs. Biollante. And yes, she's the kaiju I've been waiting to see make some kind of comeback because way underutilized.
In -1, did Godzilla have a purpose of why he was fucking shit up, or was he was just fucking shit up?
No, he's just pissed off. He's just I'm a monster. You guys are handsome.
I'm a monster. You woke me up. I was sleeping. Now I'm pissed.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, it really ties because Godzilla, of course, has always been likened to. He's the fact that Godzilla, the franchise and the character came about, within a few years of the atomic bombs being dropped in Japan, and that's intrinsically tied to kind of what he's sort of perceived as, or what he's always represented. In -1, he's likened much more to, or they drive that a lot further home, and because it is post-war Japan, and they drive that idea a lot further home that he is nuclear weapons personified.
Yeah.
Same with what was it, Godzilla with Matthew Broderick? They were talking about how he's exposed to radiation. Anyway.
Oh, okay. I had a soft spot for that movie when I was a kid. I'm not gonna lie.
I did too.
Yeah, I did.
It was a Roland Emmerich film. I was a big fan of him as a kid. He did Independence Day. So I was like, this guy's amazing.
The coolest thing about that whole Godzilla was just the trailer. Right after you saw Jurassic Park, there was like the bones of the T-Rex, and then his fucking
his crushes comes crashing down through that museum.
Yeah. I was like, okay, that's dope.
Or
then everything after that was kind of silly.
Of the old man fishing, and then he's running.
Yeah, and he runs
from
back
the pier, and the head's just coming. I was like, wow, this is gonna be badass.
Well, no,
and then you watch it, and it was like,
they didn't put all that in the movie because they show in the movie where he's running back across the pier, but then this is only in the trailer or the teaser where the two other guys are sitting there watching, and then Godzilla's head like slowly rises out of the water and his eye pops open in front of them. It's like that part of it is not in the movie. They should have kept that in there because that was actually pretty cool.
I mean, that's what got the movie so hyped. I remember when I saw that, I was like, dude, I totally want to see this.
Yeah.
And then like they're shooting missiles at it, and it's like dodging them. I'm like, oh, come on, missiles don't do that.
Godzilla don't do that either.
Yeah, he's like, oh, and I missed that missile. Another one this way.
He pulled a fucking Neo.
It was just like
really though. Watch Godzilla the animated series. That's basically the sequel to the '98 Godzilla. That's actually pretty awesome. The animated series. That's because it sort of finds a nice kind of middle ground between like what the movie reimagined him as and kind of like his sort of his more Japanese origin that as he was really conceived. And so if you're more of a Godzilla purist who wasn't a fan of the '98 movie, I think if you haven't seen the animated series, I would say that you would probably like that a lot more.
So let's shift to our next category, next topic, which was the trailer for the Penguin series. I thought I was really excited for it. I thought it looked really, really good. And I think when you look at the Penguin series and you look at the trailer, I mean, look, it's just me, but like I think this pretty much ends the debate that like, oh, they're not going to make the Batman 2. Like, dude, that's the stupidest argument. It's like, shut the fuck up. Just shut the fuck up if you're going to say that shit. I saw the trailer. I thought it looks really good, and I can't wait to see it. And I got a feeling that Pattinson's Batman is going to be in this series, even if it's just a cameo at the end. I think he's going to be in it because he has to be. I mean, why not?
At the very least, is Bruce Wayne's going to show up at the very, very least.
I would bet more on Bruce Wayne than Batman in it. I would say.
I don't know.
I mean,
it takes place right after the Batman, so
you not. I just think it looks pretty solid.
Yeah,
on its own. Like even if he doesn't show, I wouldn't be disappointed. Like if it's just the Penguin and just the the crime bosses and all that kind of shit and whatnot. So I mean, it looks pretty good. It looks better than fucking Gotham. I'll tell you that.
Do we know? Does this? Is there a time jump between the film and the series, or is it strictly after? Because when we last left off, this whole city was flooded. So I can't imagine it's going to be directly right after because they had to then solve for that.
I think I remember reading a while ago that it picks up not too long after.
So there's a slight time jump then.
There might be, yeah.
Okay.
They cleared the water out of Gotham.
I mean, like you'd have to figure some time has to because Salvatore Moroni's still in prison. You have to imagine once he finds out that Carmine Falcone's dead, he's probably going to want a piece of the pie that he was part of initially, right?
And they cast an actor for that role already.
Clancy Brown.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah.
Clancy Brown is Salvatore Maroni. Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say, I'm glad they kept
Maroni.
And he has
I'm glad
such
they
a
kept the
history.
same tone for the series. It kind of follows the same tone as the film. So
Yeah, how
I'm glad
many-
they didn't
how many-
deviate too far from that?
How many DC characters has Clancy Brown played? At
Oh,
this point? 'Cause
God.
he's
3.
You'd have to IMDb
So
that.
he's
Lex
Lex.
in
He was
the
General
Superman
Wade
universe.
Eiling in the Flash or the Arrowverse, whatever way you want to spin it, and now he's Salvatore Maroni.
Well, he voiced Parallax in the Green Lantern movie too.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
I'm not surprised people
before.
don't remember that, but still.
No, I didn't remember that, but no, he's always been Lex.
This is,
for me.
this is at least the
Parallax.
fourth DC character he has either voiced or
Parallax.
portrayed live action.
Relax.
He was a big fart cloud. It's like,
I'm not saying it was. Listen, he was it's part of his resume, okay?
you know, the Green Lantern, like we've said before, is one of those films that like they had the right idea, but the execution just wasn't
was a
there.
character in the Batman too, the TV show.
Yeah, he was. He was.
I'm
so
trying
he
to
has
pull
he
it
has
up
quite
right
a
now.
quite a history of playing.
Yeah.
different
Green
DC
Lantern's in the
characters.
same vein as like Terminator Salvation. Like they had the right idea, just didn't come together the right
They
way.
just had the wrong producer.
Yeah, it was like they had all the right they had all the right ingredients. And
Look,
then they
I
just-
put Green Lantern with Superman Returns. Like, it's
That's high praise.
yeah. You know what? There are aspects of Green Lantern that I like, and just I like the suit. I think the fucking suit's dope. I think the eye. That's high praise. I think the eyepiece
had
was
to.
stupid, but I thought the concept of it, being the musculature of
Being made of energy,
the
yeah,
wearer was pretty fucking cool. I think the what's his name?
He was
that's
Mr. Freeze in the Batman. That's who he was.
Oh, you're
Clancy
right.
Brown?
Yeah,
he was
Yeah, he was
he
Mr.
was.
Freeze. He was the voice of Mr. Freeze.
in the animated series.
Yes.
in the
How do
new
you
animated
know
series
that?
where he got redesigned.
He's like, hello,
Yeah,
Batman.
where he was like just a head. And it was
Yeah,
like
they had
fighter-
they had like ice all around it was typically a dome,
Oh,
but
yeah,
instead they
yeah.
had like ice all around his head.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he has a whole section on his Wikipedia page for DC Comics media. So it's listing Lex Luthor on Superman the Animated Series, Justice League
Trident and Teen
Unlimited.
Titans. Wow, yeah.
Yeah,
he's a DC guy.
But he was also in
He
Thor
totally is.
Ragnarok.
Yeah, that too. Surtur. That's right.
That is what it is.
I to this day, Thor Ragnarok doesn't really bother me that much. It's everything after
not
that. I'm just like,
I mean, it's
You
like
guys
not
don't
as
want to
much
hear
of
me
a-
talk about Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah.
No one wants to hear me talk about
There
Thor
are
Ragnarok.
there are bits and pieces of Thor Ragnarok that are like, oh, that was funny. Like when he was like, he's a friend from work, which was some little kid on set that fucking gave
Oh
that
shit!
line.
He was
It
also
wasn't even them. It was
he
a
was
kid that
also
gave him a
in-
fucking line. That was funny.
He's in John
He
Wick
was
Chapter
also in-
4.
He was also in Daredevil and The Punisher. He was a major
yes,
Schoonover.
he was.
That's
I
right.
forgot
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
He was in Daredevil.
That's right.
He's one of those guys that pops up like everywhere.
Yeah.
Where you're just like, oh shit, there he is
But we
again.
all,
Like,
and of course, remember him as the Kurgan in Highlander. But we
the
all know
Highlander, yes.
we all know his all-time greatest performance is Drill Instructor Zim in Starship Troopers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I actually remember him. as-
he
as,
caught the
um,
brain. He caught the brain bug at the end. He's like, yeah.
I definitely remember him in Shawshank. 'Cause
Oh,
he
as
shot-
the guard.
Yeah, yeah.
The guard, yes.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
But
right.
you know what?
Bob Clinton.
Drug is right. He was in Gen V. He played.
Yes, he was.
like the not
He
the
was the,
headmaster, but like
The dean. He was the dean of
The dean, yes.
the superhero college. Yeah.
Yeah.
was he in
true.
Ahsoka? I didn't know. Was he in Ahsoka? He
was also
was.
just recently,
He
was
was
also
in
just
that same city. Go ahead.
I bet to say he was also just recently the Harbinger in John Wick Chapter 4.
Yes.
But
So
he was
he's
in
had an extremely prolific
Ahsoka
career.
on. He was on the planet that Carl Weathers was on. Remember, he was like,
Yeah.
no. He was
No.
on. What's it called?
Well, he's
where
a
Ezra's
he-
from.
yeah.
where
He's
Ezra is
he's
from.
he's the
Like the mayor
chancellor,
or-
but yeah of
Oh.
Lafal. He's the
LaFall.
head-
Thank
he's
you.
the head guy of
yes.
Lafal. Yeah, he's also in the Mandalorian as like one of the aliens.
I thought he
with,
was
like,
in
fucking
Freetown.
horns.
No, Freetown's on a different
No.
planet. That's on Tatooine.
No, he's in Lafal.
This here's Freetown. That's what they came up with. Like, we got most Exla, most this, most that. What about Freetown? Yeah, I like that.
He's also
I think they did that like it was right before they broke for lunch. They're like, "Oh yeah, that's good. Let's break for lunch."
He's also in season 1 of The Mandalorian.
Oh,
Bill Burr's other guys.
He's actually. I just pulled up his IMDb under the quote section. There's this one quote that says, "Can I just one time play the good guy?"
Yeah, he always plays the bad guy.
Yeah, or plays like the hard ass drill sergeant, or
or he dies like in almost everything he's in. You know?
But yes, he's had it's a very prolific career, and we're going to be seeing him in the Penguin series. So
the other guy,
as a bad guy,
as a bad guy, that's a bad guy. The other guy in Starship Troopers, their actual their commanding officer when they first go out,
Neil
and
Patrick
he was
Harris.
he was in like RoboCop. He was the bad guy. Oh no, was it
Weller?
No, not RoboCop. He was in Total Recall. He was the bad guy in
Michael
Total Recall.
Ironside.
Yeah, he's like, what do you think you're doing? Watch your mouth.
Darkseid in Justice League and Superman the Animated Series. Michael Ironside.
Yep.
Yeah, that guy's great. And they were both in that same movie too. They were both in Starship Troopers.
Yeah.
Rico, you know what to do.
What to do?
Hella brutal. These are the Roughnecks. Rico's Roughnecks. Such a great movie. It's like, fuck yeah.
No.
That's why you need to get Helldivers 2. You can relive that movie.
Buenos Aires got bombed. Like, what? I know. I think it's in the original story, the book or whatever. Because remember how Rico lived in Buenos Aires, and that's what got bombed by the.
Buenos Aires is nothing but white people in the movie.
I know. That's why I was like, huh? How is this? What's going on here? Like, oh,
Andrew was like, I feel like I'm at home.
It was weird. I was in the theater. I was like, Buenos Aires. Like, what? Like, oh, whatever. Here we go. They're going into battle now.
Anyway, bringing it back to the Penguin trailer, there was only like one shot of Clancy Brown in that trailer, and he's in prison. He's talking to Cobblepot.
It's gonna be good.
It's gonna be good. I'm right
looking
with you.
forward to this.
How many
episodes
episodes
does
are
it
there?
come out?
8 episodes.
8 episodes.
8
Holy
episodes.
Colin Farrell recently said it's like 8 hours of dark, gritty fucking storytelling, and I'm like,
really? We're allowed to do dark and gritty again now in comic book media.
So.
Okay.
Well,
wonderful.
now that a certain somebody's not there anymore, they can.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Now that moratorium's been lifted. Okay.
Yeah. Right.
Well, they can be darker now because it's an Elseworld story, so it doesn't.
And it's
matter
a
what they do.
multiverse.
And it's on HBO Max.
About 8 years ago. Okay.
It's on HBO Max, so it's fine.
Yeah, I'm totally not.
There's no HBO Max.
Oh, Max. I'm sorry. It's on Max.
Yeah, it does.
Get it right, Max.
It doesn't give it. It just says late 2024 right now. But
yeah,
so yeah,
probably like October, November.
Yeah, I would guess because they wanted it to be out October 2022. So, and I mean, obviously, or October 2021, and of course, especially with the Halloween theme of the first movie, you could definitely see why they were going for that. So, I could see like just with the franchise in general, they would really want to try to plant their flag with a specific version of Batman, in kind of the Halloween time frame. So, yeah, I would guess like September, October, was when we'll first start seeing the show.
Yeah, I agree. I'm kind of excited to see the mom from what is that show? How I Met Your Mother, Christina Milioti. She's playing
Sophia Falcone. Yeah.
Thank you, Sophia Falcone. Yep. That's going to be interesting because there's like they mentioned at the end of the Batman movie, like there's going to be a power vacuum for who's going to run Gotham City now, and I feel like the Penguin show is going to like really dig deep into that. So you'd have to imagine it's probably going to wind up being Cobblepot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yes.
Yeah, you have a show and he doesn't succeed at the end.
Right? At the end, he just dies. Like, oh shit! What?
He didn't even make it to the sequel that's never getting made.
Did you guys also see the rumor that Boyd Holbrook apparently might be Two-Face, Harvey Dent in this universe?
I think I heard that.
I heard something about Two-Face, but I heard anything about him.
Yeah, it's not from a very credible source.
Imagine Harvey Dent shows up.
That's funny.
I think.
Well, the district attorney died, didn't he?
This would be the series in which you would introduce the new Harvey Dent.
Either this or the second movie. It's one or the other. Take your pick, right? The field is there for him to appear. You know what I mean?
But I would think you can introduce him as the district attorney in this series, and then in the Batman Part 2, he's already the district attorney, and most of the normies would just be like, whatever. I'm like, oh, that's Harvey.
Or
Dent.
you bring him in
That
as a
makes
district attorney, and in the film you bring him in as Two-Face.
There you go.
Like you
sense.
lead.
Yeah, he evolves the Two-Face.
Well,
Something
so much-
happens that turns him that way, and then in the film you actually didn't see the
Yeah.
full-blown Two-Face.
Maroney is the one who famously scars Harvey Dent.
There you go.
So
Yeah.
Yeah. So you gotta blame Clancy for that.
Of course.
Well, by the way, am I the only
shame.
one? Am I the only one when I first saw the Batman, theatrically, until
I saw
at the
it
end
four times.
in the jail scene at the end with Riddler, and discovering his unnamed cellmate. Am I the only one who initially, at first, until we heard the laugh, I thought that was Two-Face, and then he started laughing. It's like, oh, okay, no, it's obvious who this is. But just
When
because
I saw it, I knew immediately that it was the Joker. But
Yeah.
really, just
Yeah, I knew it was the Joker.
even through like it just like the burned appearance they gave him, I thought, okay, that could be Two-Face. But then
if
once
I
heard
was
the
like,
laugh,
if I was like hammered, I probably would have thought it was the Two-Face. But no, I thought it was Joker right away.
No, I knew it was the Joker right away.
Droga says they should introduce Rachel. I assume he Rachel Dawes, right?
Rachel.
Nah, she's gonna be a one-off to the character. She'll be unique to the Dark Knight trilogy, I'd imagine.
Yeah. Yeah, she's got like aspects of Andrea Beaumont in certain respects. So
Yeah.
So no, I think this saga that Matt Reeves is developing, I think his love interest is probably going to wane from like Catwoman to maybe like I mean, you could do Andrea Beaumont. You could introduce that character, like given the way that
But you
this
could
film
also
operates.
do Vicky Vale because she's
Sure, let's just
Batman
go ahead and
character.
go full blown Batman '89 all over.
That's
Why
not, she's from the comics.
Yeah, she is.
I know.
It's
Oh,
crazy
okay, I
to me
didn't
that
know you
we've
meant-
never
okay.
seen Vicky Vale in live action
Wasn't
one
referring to
time
the movie.
since '89.
I think Batman's right behind me.
Yep.
Oh my
He's gonna
God.
whoop my ass right now.
Oh yeah, that's the cool one. That's the Jim Lee version.
Yeah, it's the Jim Lee version. Thank
But
you.
yeah,
I gotta
it's-
say,
it's so-
Jim Lee fucking knocked it out of the park with that. already.
Yes,
I have that on a
That's
shirt.
awesome.
So
This actually, like when they released this, it got people way more excited for. I mean,
Oh, yeah, hell yeah.
We're already excited for it, but this helped quite a bit. Everybody was like,
helped
"Oh,
because the
fuck."
costume just look. I'm sorry, but like this looks better than Pattinson because it's a drawing, but it just looks more grimacing, more menacing. Just awesome.
I mean, it's got that Jim Lee flair to it. So
Yes.
I just want them to update just his cowl, his mask. I
think
Oh,
his
you
whole
don't
suit-
like the.
I think his whole
part
suit is
right
probably
here.
gonna
not
get
really
him
that.
up.
I just don't like the scenes.
I think so,
It
too.
reminds me of Catwoman. Just like
They did
the
that as an
scenes and-
homage to the '66.
Well,
Batman.
I think the idea, they present with Pattinson initially is he's still, because he's in year 2.
Yeah.
His not just the suit, but also just the whole persona of Batman he's created is still very much a work in progress. So
Yeah.
I would anticipate that the suit will maybe not have like a radical redesign, but it's like you will see that he's made augmentations to it, he's made adjustments
Upgrades.
to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope it goes into a positive direction, whereas it went to a negative direction with Nolan's Batman costume.
I think it's going to be, I've been saying since the movie started shooting, it's going to be a build a Batman. He's going to continue to just
Build a Batman.
Yeah, he's going to continue to like
He's gonna get
build himself into a more iconic, identifiable version that hardcore fans will look by the end of his tenure as Batman. They'll look at it and be like, "Yeah, that's fucking Batman." What he started out as, not so much, but what he's at now, yeah, that's Batman.
Yeah.
Well, I've always kind of said this, like Pattinson, he's the only Batman actor we've had so far who could essentially be his own Robin.
That's true. Yeah, I buy that.
So question. Speaking of this, let's just say the Batman verse or Gotham verse. There's been,
Reeves
and
verse,
I know
I
this
go with.
isn't going to happen, so I'm going to be very clear. I have no expectations this is going to result in anything, but there's been a big push now ever since the Bad Boys 4 trailer came out.
Oh yeah, we saw that.
That since the directors for that were the directors for Batgirl. How bad could Batgirl have been to never have been released, or now will never be released, based on the great response Bad Boys 4 trailer is getting?
Well, technically, they could still release it. They would just have to return the tax write-off they got for it.
They'd have to do that, or release it free of charge in any.
Yeah,
in
which
any
they're not
form
gonna do
they
that.
send it out as.
They're
Well,
not
correct. They're not
gonna
going to do that. But I'm just saying that would be their only two options: is either take the back.
I think we'll see the fucking haircut before we see Batgirl.
Oh, I
Well, good. I
agree.
want to see the
agree
damn
with that.
haircut.
I want to see the haircut.
But the Air Cut has a better chance of being released than
Yes.
the Batgirl.
Exactly what I was just going to
Yes.
say. You're absolutely right. I think the Air Cut has far more better chances of being released than Batgirl does at this
And what are the chances of it being released? Slim to none. So
none.
But
the
question is,
I think it'll be released.
Seeing this trailer, do we think that Batgirl
done.
was truly as bad as it was perceived to be? Seeing so far what we've seen with Bad Boys 4 trailer.
Well, considering the guy who said it was bad and unreleasable was Peter fucking Safran, and we've seen what movies he produced over the last year.
Oh, Superman Legacy.
One of them I have to suffer through for a watch party on Saturday.
Meet the Spartans. It's a great movie.
I mean,
no, it's not.
You know, this guy said that movie was unreleasable, and I'm just like, dude, you made Shazam, you produced Shazam: Fury of the Gods. Define unreleasable, please. Like
that movie sucked.
The fuck on. Like,
what
sucked. Are you talking about?
That movie sucked. I don't care. It was.
Well,
that should have been unreleasable.
It's just bad PR. It's just really bad PR to be like,
calls it PR.
Yeah, because you're talking trash about your own fucking IP.
Right, and you're talking shit about people who put their blood, sweat, and tears into this fucking project. Brendan fucking Fraser, who won an Oscar for The Whale, and you guys are just going to completely disregard his performance as Firefly in this movie?
Yeah.
Another fucking version of Michael Keaton as Batman? Like, look, diehard fans are probably going to side with the studio and be like, well, you know, it wouldn't have made much sense continuity-wise. No fucking shit. Not anymore, because they're going to reboot the whole fucking universe anyway. What does it matter?
Well, not only that, though, but like when they made the decision to actually, you know, shelve the movie, my belief was that, they're doing that, one, because they want to make... I thought the main reason why was because they were shifting gears and that Batgirl and Keaton's Batman was not going to be in the fold anymore. So that's why they're shelving it, because it doesn't fit with continuity. No, but like I thought that was one of the core reasons. But as it turns out, like the decision to shelve this shit happened even before they decided all this shit. So like they had already decided that they were going to shelve this movie before they even announced that they were making changes to the Flash. So it was like, so they just did it just because they're just assholes. Or it was like, fuck this.
Well, and the thing about it is, the thing I've always kind of maintained is that, you know, I mean, really the downfall of Batgirl was the way it was conceived. It was not conceived as, you know, let's make a Batgirl movie. It wasn't conceived as like Joker, or wasn't conceived like the Batman. It was conceived as a studio that had, you know, a smorgasbord of fuck ups that they were trying to, you know, put band-aids on, and, you know, it was a COIA movie, really, is what it was. It was conceived not as a Batgirl movie. It wasn't conceived for reasons of storytelling. It was
the same thing with the Flash. You know, the Flash was not a Flash movie. The Flash was like some fucking smorgasbord of fucking, like, it was a Justice League Minor movie. You know?
A little bit, but I mean,
the Flash had much more of a basis as far as like storytelling. Because Batgirl was coming after the ramifications of the Flash. So, but it was because of the fact that the studio under the regime at the time, you know, they kept claiming they had a plan, but it was a plan they were just assembling on the fly, and that had no streamlined way of seeing this through. They had no. It was something that they were making up as they were going, and that was really what was the downfall of Batgirl. Was it just fell into that?
I think I've said this before, but I'm pretty sure, and I have this on good authority, the only plan Walter Hamada had was listen to whatever the fuck Jeff Johns was telling him. That was his plan.
I believe
it. And that plan was a fucking failure through and through.
If you look at what the Flash was, like the changes that they were going to make to the Flash, about, you know, putting Cavill back in it, putting Gal Gadot back in it, but Keaton was still going to be Batman because
it was going to have Affleck, they'd swap places somehow through the whole.
Yeah, well, Affleck would have been lost in time, or like Barry, you have to find me.
Yeah.
But the thing is that like Keaton was still going to be the primary Batman of that universe, because. Yeah. And so, with that being said, you still could have actually gone through with the Batgirl movie, and it would have made sense within the continuity of that universe. But again, they decided, no, fuck that. It was really weird that they even did that they just shelved the movie. It was like, whoa, dickhead move here. And now all that hard work that went into it is all for naught.
I really wish they would have just done something a little more old school and just recast a different fucking person as Batman and then move forward with a different continuity. Like, if you weren't too keen on the fact that Zack Snyder killed Dick Grayson, this was your opportunity to bring in a new actor as Batman, rewrite the idea that his fucking dead Robin isn't Dick Grayson and make it Jason Todd. That way you can justify maybe having a Nightwing, and you can have like a Batman and maybe even a Dick Grayson in the Batgirl movie. That way you don't have to like try and things, you could have done a lot of things differently, right?
Yeah.
But Warner Brothers, being Warner Brothers, was like,
and it is so obvious to me at this point, looking back on like when we go back to like the first DC fandom and how much they were pushing, multiverse, Elseworlds, all that. I think from the perspective of the filmmakers involved, I think they were looking at it as like, oh, this is opening so many doors in terms of storytelling, in terms of these things being able to coexist. From the perspective,
they're director-driven studio.
Yeah, from the perspective of
allegedly.
From the perspective of the people running the studio,
right.
it was nothing more than CYA. It was nothing more than we screwed up. We need a way to look like.
Yeah, well, the problem is that okay, you learn from your mistakes, but these guys don't learn from their fucking mistakes.
Well, not only they not learn from it, they just learn we're going to make worse ones.
They run from.
Well, not only that, they not only do they
mistakes.
not learn from their mistakes, they always just put a different person in charge every 3 to 5 years, and that doesn't help at all.
Yeah,
No,
that might happen again now with this latest pending merger that they can now do within the next couple of days.
We'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens.
One thing I tell people is like, life as a DC fan. I mean, it's never boring if nothing else.
Well,
It's never boring.
We
It's
have
just
the
disappointing.
animated shows.
it's just disappointing.
Here's the thing. The only guarantee is that Matt Reeves is getting a Penguin TV show, Batman Part 2. Part 3, okay, you can make the conversation of whether or not that might or might not happen because it just hasn't happened yet. Because we haven't seen Part 2, and if Part 2 would justify a Part 3, but even then, I feel like dude is going to get his fucking trilogy. Like that's just
I mean, ideally, they would do it back to back.
Batman. Yeah, exactly. That too. Like, ideally, you would do it back to back. That way, you can just cover your bases all at once. We'll see, though.
Yeah, that's again. But yeah, like you said, it's like they keep not learning from their mistakes, and they keep rotating in. I mean, how many times they've had this revolving door of savior? It's like ever since they showed Zack Snyder the door, it's like, okay, it's going to be Jeff Johns' savior, and now it's going to be Walter Hamada, or Joss Whedon. It was going to be Joss Whedon, or what was the order of it? It's happened so many times I can't even keep track of the order of it.
So
they
showed Snyder walked away, right? And then you have Jeff Johns. He was in as president by the time Zach walked out. And then they brought in Joss Whedon. Then fucking Johns gets fucking ousted as president. Then Walter Hamada gets put in as president. And then after he takes some time in his power, fucking Jason Kilar comes in as head of Warner Media. And he's got conflicting fucking shit going on with Ann Sarnoff and Toby Emmerich and everyone fucking else, right? And then you've got fucking the merger that happened, and then everyone else is fucking gone. David Zaslav comes in and kind of puts in Abdi and DeLuca in charge intermittently before he finally decides on James Gunn. And then James Gunn's like, yeah, I'm just going to fucking reboot everything except what I worked on. Cool. And David Zaslav's like,
well, and they've rug pulled so many creators.
Yeah,
that too.
Now what do you do? Now you have someone like James Gunn who's like, well,
that's why they're signing actors.
I'm gonna write, I'm gonna direct, I'm just gonna do it all myself.
What about like the Batman Beyond animated movie that we saw concept art for? That would have been fucking cool.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And that's why they're signing actors. That's why they're not signing writers. That's why they're not signing fucking directors. They're signing actors. They signed Tom Cruise. They signed Timothy Chalamet. The last time they signed an actor, I think, was either Matt Reeves or Eddie Muschietti, and that was like last year before the strikes.
But they aren't actors; they're directors.
Wait,
that's what I'm saying. That's the last
signing
time.
Signing talent.
And the other thing too is that
the
other thing about it too is that with again this latest pending where it's or even without that. Like Zaslav's point, I mean, this really illustrates kind of, I think, the depth of his thinking on this as far as like handling DC IP and establishing DC studios. He had that quote that he gave where he said, well, Gunn had like, and I don't have this verbatim, but the essence of it is, James Gunn had like a massive hit in the Guardians movies. So it's like, I'm looking at that. It's like, well, why isn't this guy in charge of all DC? And that's bogus that he said that, because what do we know? It's like nobody else wanted the job, and they were begging Todd Phillips to take it. And he would have said the exact same thing as Todd Phillips. Said, oh, this guy had a big hit Joker. It's like, why is he just not captain of all of DC? So that really illustrates to me a lot of, I mean, I'm not even confident in saying that Zaslav has even seen the Guardians movies. He's just, he's like, I'm establishing DC Studios because this is a big IP with the studio I just did a merger with, and this guy, I'm just throwing a dart. It's like, okay, who's a filmmaker and CDMs who's had big hits right now? It's James Gunn. People seem to like him. I mean, they got upset when he got fired from Guardians 3, so let's bring him over. He, it's like he was popular. Case closed. End of story.
I think all he saw was the balance sheet.
Allegedly, he didn't even watch Coyote versus.
That's all he saw. He saw how the money that made.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, we'll bring that person. Whoever did that, regardless if it was James Gunn or anybody else, looked at the balance sheet, saw the profit that was made, bring that person in. We'll do something like that.
Yeah. And allegedly, he didn't even watch Coyote versus Acme, which is produced or written by James Gunn, one or the other.
Yeah.
And it's like, why would you axe a fucking project from the guy you just put in power? Like,
and unfortunately for James Gunn, being co-CEO, writer, director, and everything for Superman Legacy, he's put all of his eggs in one basket. That doesn't perform and exceed expectations. He's pretty much he's just got himself out of a job.
Yep. So. And again, you add the third merger in 6 years coming up here pretty soon. It's like it's
very volatile.
Volatile.
And I said this in a previous conversation. If anyone's ever worked in corporate America, anytime new leadership comes in, they always have their own plans, their own ideas, and they may. It's very possible, or at least not out of the realm of possibility. New ownership comes in and says, well, "We don't like James Gunn, or we don't like his 10-year vision. Have a nice day. We'll take the loss as a write-off, and we'll either shelve DC for now. We'll do small, independent, very focused films, and we're not going to focus on a universe right now." Because it's just too much of a hassle.
But we're going to let Matt Reeves finish his trilogy.
Well, I don't look at it as like a broad universe, as in we're trying to bring in every DC character. But I mean, because obviously that's already in motion. But they may say, we're done. We're done with the universe business for now. Let's just focus on.
They shelve the Batman, but they go, okay, well, we're going to greenlight the Penguin season 2.
That's again. This goes back to when Phil had some direct interaction with James Gunn on social media when you commented how is the leap from one universe to another in Peacemaker going to be explained, and Gunn said that will be addressed in season 2. But again, it's like that's also that's one of many question marks that are still going to be hovering over it, assuming the merger doesn't change the course of history yet again. But one of the big, right now the big question hovering over it is, okay, so if you're telling us that the preceding universe was not working, or had no intention of completing it long term, then what are you doing with this? It's to the naked eye, this could this could resemble, or this could come very much off as it's like we have to reboot this for the sake of the brand, but he gets to keep playing with his toys.
Exactly. Yeah. And real quick, let's go to Axel Drogo, who has a $5 Australian super chat.
All right.
Just fill there for whatever.
He says, did anyone get a chance to watch my movie Red Robin?
Yeah.
Like I said the other day, I've seen about half of it. I need to get back to watching the rest of it. I've just been really busy lately.
Yeah.
Where is it? My question is, where is it posted? I saw it mentioned.
He sent a link. I did see the link. I haven't clicked on it yet.
I think he posted. Did you share that on your Twitter?
I think he
has on his YouTube, but I think it's unlisted right now.
It's hard to whip it out.
I sure do.
I've heard it mentioned previously, but I just didn't know where it was posted at.
Antonio,
what's up?
Hey, Antonio.
But yeah, check out Red Robin. That's Axel's fan film. Mm-hmm. He says, it's public.
Oh, okay.
So definitely check that out. But guys, I think that's gonna wrap up the show as it is anyway. Because I gotta run. I know Ryan's gotta run unless you guys want to keep going. I made that weird. Sorry.
Yeah.
A little bit.
I know. Phil has to leave. Sean, he's got to go. Brad, maybe you can stick around.
I have to establish
by yourself.
I'm still stealing my fortitude for this bullshit Meet the Spartans movie. I have to suffer through for charity. It's a great
poor son of a bitch. You poor son of a bitch.
It was all for a good cause.
It's a great cause. You guys won't let me get to the raid too. Damn it.
And so far, they've raised how much money is it?
We've raised
over $8 grand, right?
let me look it up here. It should still be. I think we've raised 10,200 so far.
Oh wow!
And,
yeah,
Oh, there you go. All right.
they've been
There you
pounding the
go.
pavement on that, and they've gone all the way up to $10,000. And they set a new record now. They're trying to hit $15,000. So that's
And
really
what's
awesome.
that for?
AFSP,
FSP,
nice.
yeah, and we want to do that.
the Sci-Fi Center.
Yeah, we
And
wanna
guys,
go
if
ahead
you have any extra funds that you can spare,
Tilted
jump
product.
on over to DJW Art and pick up some of his prints. They're available for a limited time. Follow everybody here on their Instagrams. I'm sure that Sean,
Instagram.
is that yours?
Yeah,
Is it Instagram?
that's my handle on all social.
That's your
media.
handle, and Brad Kieran, that's your handle as well. So if you
There
want,
it
if you
is.
like what you heard tonight, follow everybody. And any final thoughts?
Meet the Spartans.
Go watch the Batman.
Go watch the Batman.
Go watch episode 3.
Scary Movie is an absolutely fantastic franchise.
X-Men 97 rules.
Yes.
X-Men 97 fucking
Pretty good. It's
rules.
pretty good. I'm going to check out the 3rd episode right as soon as we get off. And then, guys, if you want to check out some of my superhero shirts, check them out over at TeePublic. And
actually, one quick reminder:
Yeah.
Andre and I will be doing a weekly recap watch party on the X-Men.
Yes, we will.
So just heads up on Wednesdays.
I had to move down here.
Nice.
Yeah, so every week we'll be doing
make sure
a
to check
watch
out those
party.
videos.
Yeah, that
We'll
sounds
be checking
good.
out X-Men 97, episode 4. And that'll be every Tuesday, well, Wednesday at midnight, or Tuesday at midnight, which is actually Wednesday, but definitely check that out.
Yarp.
All right. And with that being said, we will catch you guys next time. Peace.
Later.